Good afternoon and welcome to Thebarton Oval for the broadcast of today's NAB AFL Under-19 Championship game, streaming live on the AFL website and also on the AFL Live app. My name's John Simons. I'm your commentator for today's game, and joining me in the broadcast is triple Magarey medalist from the SNFL competition, current coach of the Ross Trevor College First 18. I welcome James Allen to the call. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thanks, John. It's good to be back. Got a taste of it last weekend with the SA v the Allies game and thoroughly enjoyed it, so thanks for having me.
Expect a different contest today, Jimmy, obviously, with the South Australian Under-19 side able to have a convincing victory over the Allies side that was put together of a combination of some underage, under-17 players helped topping up that side last week for that contest to go ahead, and South Australia dominating that one with a 92-point victory, but they're expected to be markedly different today up against the Western Australian side that they've already played twice this year, and WA have managed to come out victors on both occasions. We just saw the leading game between the under-17 sides, between both of these sides, see the Western Australian side run out 13-point winners, and we'd expect this under-19 Western Australian AFL Under-19 Championship side, coached by Mark Webb, to play a similar brand of footy to the way the under-17s did, which was very impressive.
Yeah, what we saw from the under-17 WA side was that they were a really well-drilled side that likes to get numbers a little bit behind the ball. Not so much dropping a spare number, but just holding their shape and winning the ball back, and then using the ball really smartly going forward. So if it's anything to go by, I think we're in for a bit of a treat with the WA side here. We know what we're going to get from SA. There's plenty of talent there. And SA certainly will be looking to get one back after going down in their two previous encounters.
So for the WA side, just some players of interest as well. We see number 45 in front of us, a big lad at 199 centimetres, 94 kilos. Josh Cripps playing in the doing the ruck work there in the stoppage work. The brother of Carlton's Patrick Cripps as well, a player to keep an eye out.
Oh, it certainly is. I think what his brother's been able to do, it's hard not to get excited when a sibling comes through, but from what we saw there, it looks like he's going to take the ruck. His brother probably big enough to be a ruckman these days. Plays as a midfielder, which is a scary proposition, but Josh looked like he's going to be the main man in the centre bounces for the WA side today.
A couple of sons of guns as well for the WA team. For our viewers looking on, of some interest to them would be number 14 Tajwo Woden, of course the son of Brownlow medalist Shameway Woden, and also wearing number 1 Jesse Motlop, the son of Daniel Motlop, played at the Kangaroos in Port Adelaide as well. So ones to keep an eye on from a Western Australian perspective. And South Australia, Jimmy, coached by Tony Bamford as well. Some exciting young talent there. We saw that on display last week, and no doubt that'll be headlined by one of South Australia's top draft prospects in Matty Roberts, who's played some senior footy at South Australia this year, and you would have coached against him at college level with his time at St Peter's as well.
Yeah, I sure have. I'll get to Matty Roberts in a second. You just mentioned Jesse Motlop. His dad Daniel was an ex-teammate of mine, so I don't feel like I'm that old, but that makes me feel really old that an ex-teammate's son's now lighting it up at this level. But yeah, Matty Roberts, he'll be one to watch. He's played league footy over here. Mentioned in last week's broadcast the benefit of playing in the SANFL competition, and the waffle is the same. If boys are ready to play against men, they get the opportunity to do so, and Matty Roberts playing league final, kicking 2 against a really good Glenelg side a couple of weeks ago, and showing that he can match it with the best. So
for viewers looking on as well, we can confirm that Jason Horne-Francis is not playing in this contest, and obviously one of the key benefits of playing in these contests is putting your name and your performances up in front of AFL recruiters, and that suggests, Jimmy, that perhaps Jason's done enough to be a significantly high pick in this draft and doesn't need to play this game now as he gears himself up to potentially be the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft.
Well, I personally haven't seen as much this year as I did last year, but I've seen enough. He was fantastic in the final. His most recent game against Glenelg was the best player on the ground in a loss. He did it in the midfield, he did it forward. It would have been great to see him out here today, but as you mentioned, it gives an opportunity to some of these other guys who maybe haven't cemented their draft hopes just yet.
So we'll keep an eye on those today as both sides playing 6 on the bench. So 24 players playing in each side today in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championships game. Broadcast live on the AFL website and AFL Live app. John Simons and James Allen are your callers here at Thebarton Oval. The sun is shining through the intermittent cloud cover that we've got across the ground. The wind blowing slightly towards the left-hand screen, the northern end here, left-hand side of the screen, should I say, the northern end here at Thebarton Oval. It's not significant, but it does favour that end. It's about a 2 to 3 goal breeze. You can certainly score into it, but there is a benefit in kicking with it as Cripps wins the opening clearance for the Western Australian side by hand to Patton. Can't find a target. It's picked up for South Australia now. A rush kick away will come back towards Patton. He takes possession of the ball, steps in board, goes by hand. Set a task for his teammate there in Dittmar. He was tackled and will get a stoppage. Left half forward for the Western Australian side as the players start to feel each other out. Nothing really clear and clean possession-wise in that opening chain. Whistle off the play. As we see there, a player's gone down. Just a little tussle off the ball. We didn't see it exactly at the top left-hand part of your screen, but the free kick has been paid off the ball to Johnson. I think it is for Western Australia or Regan. In fact, it's Regan who is the recipient, and just keep an eye on who the offending player was there on the mark. It may have been Parrish, I think, but we couldn't see what happened. But just some intermittent contact. The umpire paid the free kick off the ball, and the shot for goal goes across the face of goal. There, the opening score in this game goes to Western Australia, to Regan.
It's just interesting to see already, John, much like the under-17 game earlier, WA are happy to keep their 6 defenders back rather than sending one up to the stoppage. So South Australia have got that extra one around the stoppage. It'll be really keen to see if they can make the most of the numbers more than the under-17 team did, where they just kept kicking it back to that extra or that spare WA player.
O'Loughlin linked up with Becker to Roberts, inboard now to Dudley. Just got tackled as he went to kick the ball, and the turnover mark was taken by Woden for WA. His kick was smothered. They've maintained possession now. Will come back by hand towards Woden. His handball over the top, doesn't find a target on that occasion. Ball spills out towards Burgoyne. Slips a kick out of congestion, and it's taken for SA there by Linky. Turnover in the middle of the ground, though. We'll see WA come back into their front half. Short chipping kick finds Patton 60 metres out from goal. Looks to wheel around. What can he find in board? He goes out wide towards the scoreboard pocket. Long lead coming for WA there. Just juggling the mark to ground was Jack Williams there in front of Adams. In fact, Becker it was on that occasion, the defending player. Good strong lead there from Williams. He's taken the mark. About 30 metres out on a pretty tricky angle, but again, similar to the lead-up game with the 17s, Jimmy, we see the Western Australian forwards regularly just presenting up and providing movement. On that occasion, it was Williams doing that really well. Yeah,
and I think they'll be really keen to turn the ball over again and keep the ball in their front half. It looks like that's the way they've set up to play the game in their front half, and when they can do that, it does catch the opposition defenders out. The South Australian boys are going to run and spread and try and get some overlap run going, which leaves you vulnerable a little bit if you do turn the ball over.
The kick from Williams with that tricky breeze just goes across the face of goal and through for a minor score. So 2 behinds, Western Australia. South Australia yet to score. They have possession now in the back half. Roberts takes the mark just outside a defensive 50. He's a left footer, immediately looks inboard to see if he can wheel onto that left boot and find something. He does that, and he's able to spot up a target in Harrison. Played well in last week's game against the Allies. Chips out wide to O'Loughlin, nephew, of course, of Michael O'Loughlin, as Blaine O'Loughlin kicks long towards left half forward. Ball spills to the back of the pack. It's taken well by Watson. Steps through a little bit of traffic, kicks up the outer wing, taken at ground level cleanly by Burgoyne. Thought about going by hand to Harrison, went by foot instead. Now Harrison takes possession of the ball. He's immediately tackled, but a free off the ball. Tackled without possession of the ball. On that occasion was Hugh Stagg for South Australia, and he'll be the recipient of the free kick. Comes in board to Dudley, kicks inside 50. Ball spills to the front of the pack. Lemmy couldn't impact the contest on that occasion. Western Australia will clear the ball long opportunity there in front for Benning. Can't take the mark. Coming off just into the contest from the interchange bench there was Harbour. Immediately applies a tackle. A couple of lively efforts there from Harbour against his opposition in Oscar Adams. Sees a stoppage 65 metres out from the WA goal. Cripps in front. Coming from behind was Phillips to win that tap down. South Australia now through to Lawyer, kicks towards right half forward. Ball spills just to the back of the pack. Almost caught was WA on that occasion, able to win possession of the ball though. The kick down towards left half forward is punched over the line by Jared Parrish, and we'll see a boundary throw in 70 metres around from the South Australian goal. We've gone 5 minutes in this opening term. WA 2 behind. South Australia yet to score. Phillips in front. Ball spills to the back of the pack. Deloya looks to apply a tackle, as does Linky for South Australia. Ball spills out now by hand to Watson for WA. Steps back in board. Kicks towards the forward pocket. Adams, in fact, Becker attempts to apply the spoil there on Williams. Gets a handball off. It's taken by Adams. His handball immediately heads out of bounds. So a boundary throw in about 25 metres around from the Western Australian goal. As we said, a slight breeze favouring the northern end here of Thebarton Oval, the end to which Western Australia are kicking in this first quarter. Opportunity now in the resumption for Brown for WA. Takes possession of the ball, immediately tackled by Linky. So we'll see, again, another stoppage inside the forward 50 for Western Australia. Benning to jump high at this one, taps towards his goal. It was well trapped by Lord, gave off to Burgoyne for South Australia. Temporarily out of trouble now, the SA side trying to take possession. There was Ferris for South Australia. It's now Linky, steps out of some trouble, does well with possession of the ball, feeds it out wide, and SA can just settle down now with a little bit of possession of the ball. Grubb for South Australia, kicks it up long. Jumping at this one will be Lukacs. He couldn't take the mark. WA win the ball at ground level through Gorringe. Kick out wide will be mopped up by Grubb. Now for South Australia, can't take possession of the ball. Immediately applies a tackle, so we'll see a stoppage 55 metres out from the South Australian goal. Their opportunity to head inside 50 for the first time 7 minutes into this contest. WA with the numbers back there behind the ball. Chain of handballs now comes out towards Sheldrick. Chip in ball, they're maintaining possession and run through the back of the half of the ground stretch. Kicks to the long movement there of Paulson. WA inside 50 now, one-on-one contest here for WA. It's Benning in front, traps possession of the ball in front of Adams, just dribbles a kick inside 50, cleanly taken by Parrish at his ankles, feeds off by hand to Lord. Looks out the outer side, doesn't like what he sees and settles things back down to Oscar Adams. He chips out wide, looking there for the agency of Calvert. It's intercepted though and through for a minor score. The shot on goal for WA registers there, third behind. They have three behinds. WA yet to score as Lord looks to kick the ball out wide. Grubb maintains possession of the ball, takes the mark. Outer wing for South Australia, kicks in board looking for Lord. He takes it up at ground level, gets the ball off. Now to Grubb, heads out wide. Danger here as Benning comes out, attacks the ball, knocks it down to Harbour at ground level, and his shot for goal does likewise to what Woe Wodens did just a minute ago and goes through for a minor score to Caden Harbour. So WA four behinds. South Australia yet to score. They're dominating play and dominating shots on the scoreboard, Western Australia. Just need to put a major on the board. They'll have a shot on goal now, and this one has gone and hit the post on that occasion. That one came through the agency of Corey Warner, through for a minor score. Five straight behinds. Jimmy, this game has started in remarkably similar fashion to what we saw in the earlier contest when WA kicked the opening five behinds of the game as well. Very,
very similar. It's helter-skelter at the moment. It's become apparent really quickly. The SA boys are a bit different to how WA set up. They're more willing to play just man-on-man in defence. They keep five defenders, one follows up to the stoppage, which means there's a bit more space, but it also means that their midfielders are going to have to work back really hard, which we saw them do last week to support their defence.
Very mobile forward line as well, the Western Australian side, as Paulson was the player kicking it long towards goal, and the drop of the ball favoured Eric Benning. He took the mark deep in the forward pocket, the left forward pocket here at Thebarton Oval on this occasion. He'll look to play on and snap around his body. That's what he does, and he does it really, really well. And the opening goal in this contest goes the way of Western Australia. Eric Benning has had some early possession in this game. Some early ruck contest on that occasion, able to take a clean mark of the ball in front of Becker and kick the opening goal in this contest. So Western Australia dominating the scoreboard at the moment. They're 1 goal 5-11. South Australia are yet to score.
Yeah, it's eerily similar, John, to the first half. They've looked really crisp and clean. WA, again, if they can get those midfield turnovers, they're going to have plenty of space inside 50. And as you mentioned, their forward line looks really mobile and slick with plenty of options. It's going to be a tough day for the defenders if their midfielders can't win the ball around stoppage and clearance for SA.
So Paulson in the ruck after kicking that goal against Lukacs on that occasion. No side will win the ball out of that centre clearance, so we'll have a repeat stoppage inside the centre square. 11 points the early lead to the Western Australian side. As it's taken by Deloya, wins the clearance for South Australia, kicks out wide. Jacob Owens tracking the ball, tapping it to his advantage, follows it up well, sockers it forward, looked to get on the end of it. Whitelam coming across, couldn't get possession either, so WA look to clear the ball now out of their back half. They have possession of the ball through Brown. He links up with a 1-2 to receive the ball back, and now he's out into some space. Chipping ball, looking for Benning, unable to find the target on this occasion. South Australia look to go inside 50, but a good defensive mark taken by Armstrong. Playing on immediately, WA bursting through the middle of Thebarton Oval. Long kick towards Williams, traps the ball on the clean bounce in front of Parrish, wheels around and finds a target inside 50. And that target is Jesse Motlop, just in front of Lord on that occasion. As we said, the son of Daniel Motlop will go back and line up 40 metres out from goal on about a 45-degree angle. So with the breeze favouring that end of Thebarton Oval, distance shouldn't be a problem. As we said earlier in the broadcast, Jimmy, he played with his father, who was a sharpshooter in front of goal, and we'll just see what Jesse's like as he lines up 175 centimetres tall. Jesse Motlop skips in, releases from about 45, kicks it with some nice height. It's just drifting right and through for a minor score.
As if it's anything like that, I thought a balk and a barrel might have been an option there, and then a high five with the crowd. But he's just come off a Waffle Senior Grand Final, Jesse, as well, so he can obviously play a little bit. The lead-up play was carbon copy of what we saw in the under-17 game, where they were able to intercept WA off half-back and then start their ball movement from there.
Snap on goal has come here from Avery for Western Australia, or is it Paulson? In fact, it's Paulson. Threw it on the left boot, and the wind carried it just enough over the line for a major for Western Australia. So they're dominating every facet of this contest at the moment, and in particular the scoreboard. They've kicked their second. The opening 8 scoring shots in this game, 2 goals, 6-18. South Australia yet to score, and a similar template to the earlier game. Jimmy, we see South Australia just trying to work the ball out of their back half and not able to find some clean targets consecutively enough, and WA look dangerous on the turnover.
Oh, they do, and it's a simple game. If you don't get your hands on the footy, you're going to be under the pump, and South Australia just haven't been able to win the footy at all. I think their best bet is to start getting their hands on the footy around stoppage and being able to start getting the ball forward from there rather than putting their defenders under the pump, because as we've seen, this WA side and the side before are really well drilled, and it's really hard to move out of your defensive 50 through them. So their best bet is to start winning the ball around the contest.
So high tackle against Liddy. Sheldrick will be the recipient of the free kick. WA look to go forward again. Short pass to Woden. He's going to do likewise. They've got players free. This time it's Hoff for Western Australia. His kick is taken at ground level eventually for WA by Jones. Handball from Woden. WA now inside forward 50 again. The mark taken by Becker for South Australia. Too strong in that contest for against the last goal kicker in this game in Paulson for Western Australia. So SA have possession now through the big ruckman in Phillips. Kicks long up the grandstand wing. WA well represented in the marking contest. Avery got his hands to the ball, unable to take the mark. Deloya diving in, and we'll see a stoppage just across left half forward for the Western Australian side. 14 and a half minutes gone in the opening turn. They've raced out to an 18-point lead, Western Australia, and they're going to go inside 50 again here through Avery. In fact, they won't quite, as his kick just slews off the side of the boot. Again, Parrish and this time Williams run into each other accidentally, but the free kick will go the way of Owens for South Australia. Chips short to O'Loughlin and may get it back in the 1-2. He does. In fact, it's Lord for the South Australian side. Lord now chips in short, finds Burgoyne, takes the mark just outside a defensive 50. So South Australia now looking just to maintain some possession. As we said, they have the extra number up at the ball. They've kicked it where WA have that extra number just behind the ball, but a strong mark taken by Linky on this occasion will allow South Australia to get the ball forward of centre. He looks out wide. Whitelam there in the marking contest. Ball spoiled over the boundary line. Right half forward for South Australia. They'll get a stoppage and a chance to get it inside 50. They yet hit the scoreboard. WA 2-6-18. They've looked very lively around the footy, and in particular forward of the ball as well, with multiple mobile targets forward of centre. The ball thrown in. Phillips taps the ball down. South Australia looked to go inside 50. The kick from Kennedy was smothered. It rebounds out to Sheldrick for Western Australia. His kick tumbles over the top of Lord. The 225s go at it. Strong contest there. And the ball won for South Australia by Litzer. And he's felt that one as well. The 225s, Litzer, and also Regan for Western Australia. And in the end, we'll see a stoppage inside the centre square here, just slightly forward of centre for Western Australia. Cripps in 45 to go up against Phillips. Cripps wins it his side's way, but Liddy able to pick up possession for South Australia. His handball almost finds the target. Stagg does well to get it back to Lord. He was trying to step around the pressure from Dittmar, but the tackle was too good from Dittmar on that occasion, and the umpires paid it holding the ball. So Western Australia to again go inside 50. Dittmar kicks towards the left pocket and going back and taking a strong mark. For the South Australian side, back in defence was Litzer. Kicks out wide looking for Whitelam. Ball spilled away. Grubb takes possession of the ball for South Australia. Goes by hand to Linky. He looks for Whitelam running past. Ball doesn't quite reach that target, and we'll see a stoppage 80 metres out from the Western Australian goal. 17 minutes gone in the opening term. WA 2-6-18. SA yet to score in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championships game. Broadcast live for you on the AFL website and also the AFL Live app. South Australia. Stagg's handball intercepted by Woden. Ball spilled out. Comes back to Stagg. Links up with Phillips. Chain of handballs back now to Dudley. Kicks in board just over the head of Burgoyne. O'Loughlin running with the fight of the ball. Couldn't take possession. Motloff's hands were sharp. Fed it off to Warner. His kick looking for a long lead there. Just drifted wide before Williams could impact the ball. And in fact, it was too wide to stay in the field of play and out of bounds on the full. So Jared Parrish to win the resultant free kick for South Australia. Chips in board to Roberts. Goes by hand now to O'Loughlin, his non-preferred right boot. Chips it up. Lord takes the mark. Just inside defensive 50 for his side. He's looking to switch the ball to the outer side of the ground. He does so. Risky kick into that breeze. Becker sits under it, takes possession of the ball, slips over and manages to find his feet now. Chip in board. Mark taken for SA by Harrison. So move the ball on quickly now. Ferris favoured by the drop of the ball. Takes the mark. Plays on by hand to Liddy. Here's some good positive movement for South Australia. Takes a bounce. Runs to the top of the 50. Kicks inside forward 50. Cook's position himself well forward of the ball. Takes an uncontested mark inside in the goal square, and Lucas Cook kicks his first major, the first score for South Australia. Their one straight goal. WA 2-6-18. Jimmy, that's more of what we'll need to see from South Australia, that type of ball movement. When you've got options, tall mobile options such as Cook and Lemmy up forward, they can move the ball quickly to the one-on-one. They'll start to get into this contest more and more.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Lord kick was risky, and it certainly was, but it's the only way they're going to score. If they keep playing skinny side, going down the line. It's exactly what WA wants. They're set up for that. So you've got to shift the ball off the line. He took it to the open side, Alistair Lord, and they had numbers. They created some overlap run, and Liddy was able to run at the game a little bit and get the ball over the top to Cook in space, which is exactly what Tony Bamford will be asking for more of.
Roberts in at this centre square stoppage, competing for the ball there, as is Burgoyne. Spills out towards Roberts. Ball spills out now, and WA to take possession through Dittmar, or no, it may have been Warner. It was, as WA to the long lead there of Benning, goes off by hand, might get it back now inadvertently. It's Adams chasing the ball, went off the ground unsuccessfully. Roberts took possession. Linky stepped around a couple, kept his head really nicely, and just sent the ball laterally to Blaine O'Loughlin, who looked to slow things down now for South Australia as the clock ticks over the 20-minute mark in this opening turn. So 12 points the lead to Western Australia, one straight goal. SA, WA 2-6-18. And they're just going to play some possession footy now. The SA side look to maintain it, possession, and create an opportunity forward of the ball before this siren goes to signal the end of the first quarter. Ferris standing strong. In fact, Linky in that marking contest is able to take it cleanly. Umpire paid the mark before it's spilt to ground. 65 metres out, Manny Liddy, Central District's junior footballer, will send his side inside 50. Stagg going back in a 1-on-3 on that occasion, well outnumbered in that marking contest, and the intercept mark taken for WA by Avery. Chips in board to Sheldrick. Thought about releasing by hand, now decides to do so by foot, looking for Cripps. Kicks missed its target on this occasion, and we'll see the ball go out of bounds to be thrown in. You see possession being taken there by Jordan Lukac, looking for the last possession free kick, but then realising that's played in the SANFL, that rule, but not played in the AFL contest. So in actual fact, not Lukac, it's been replaced by Big Saxon Evans there. We're in the 34. Diet coming in at ground level, goes by hand. Kick smothered now really well for Western Australia by Brown. Tough contest. Deloya lays a tackle. Cripps had the ball stripped from him by Liddy. Steps around one. Kick inside 50. Going back was Cook with the flight of the ball. Nearly took his second mark. Close to goal. Just got spoilt before he was able to successfully bring it down with him. Ball kicked outside of South Australia's forward 50-metre arc. Deloya applying some strong midfield pressure on that occasion. The umpires paid that, holding the ball. Free kick to go the way of the South Australian youngster. Has been a prodigious ball winner in recent weeks as Adam Deloya, 55 metres out from goal. Kicks to the top of the square. That ball spills to the back of the pack. Harrison crumbed it well. His kick was smothered. He goes after it a second time. Up to Roberts. Gives off by hand to Burgoyne. Left foot snap from Jace Burgoyne is very, very tidy indeed. Jace Burgoyne almost laconically looked like he was kicking it to the top of the square, but the ball carried and through for an important goal. South Australia have steadied things up, Jimmy. They've kicked their second, their two straight goals. WA 2-16 with the value of some midfield presence there from Adam Deloya, really important.
Absolutely, he was fantastic last week. As an under-17 playing in the under-19s, he's acquitted himself brilliantly. Strong tackle. It's what they need because they're getting smashed a little bit around the ball. Even when they've been able to get their hands on the ball, the pressure of the WA side has been really, really impressive. But the SA side only finds themselves 6 points down. Totally against the run of play, really, for what we've seen this quarter. But Jace Burgoyne, class shines through, and he kicks a really important goal going into quarter time.
So only 6 points the difference now, and WA will go inside 50 through Brown. Kick doesn't find a target. Becker does really well, steaming out of the ball, goes by hand to Roberts. He's tackled before he could give the handball back up to Becker, who had followed his work up. He couldn't receive the 1-2. So we'll see another stoppage. Evans tapping it down. WA will win the clearance though. Kick just carries over the top of O'Loughlin and Harbour on that occasion. Becker again impacting the ball, this time by hand. Intercept possession taken for WA by Jones. He's really well tackled by Roberts. He was trying to release the ball, but he had him well tackled by one hand. He couldn't get it down to release by boot either. So Matty Roberts wins a pressure free kick, releases the ball into the middle of the ground. WA have worked hard to get possession of the ball back through Gorringe. Chain of handball sees the ball end up with Tunstall. Kick inside 50. Coming out and defending really well for SA was Litzer on that occasion, not for the first time this quarter, as O'Loughlin's take possession of the ball and Motlop's able to tackle him and get a stoppage for his side 20 metres out, directly in front of the Western Australian goal. Benning takes possession out of the ruck, threw the ball onto his boot, couldn't get any purchase on the kick though, as Armstrong was able to take possession and immediately tackled as well. So repeat stoppage, same area of the ground, just outside of the Western Australian goal. Slight breeze favouring that northern end to which they're kicking left of screen here at Thebarton Oval, and a third stoppage. Deep into this first quarter, 24, almost 25 minutes have ticked over. Still time for a score if they can be efficient, Western Australia. As Benning again gets the ball to boot. This time the ball goes sideways as the 25-minute mark ticks over and the siren blows here at Thebarton Oval. And at quarter time, South Australia have got themselves back into this contest. They are 2 straight goals, 12 in a quarter dominated by Western Australia for the first 18 minutes or so of this quarter. WA kicked the opening 2 goals, 6 in this contest, to be 2-6-18 at quarter time. And South Australia are able to kick the last 2 scoring shots on goal, and they kicked 2 straight goals through the agency of Lucas Cook and a clever snap by Jace Burgoyne, whilst for WA it was a couple of their tools and Eric Benning and Luke Paulson who kicked 1 goal each. So it's a 6-point lead to the Western Australian side at quarter time, and Jimmy, it could have been so much more.
Yeah, it's a funny situation, the game at the moment. I think WA would probably be the happiest side the way the game was being played, but those 2 late goals to SA puts them right back in the contest. And you'd probably say they're almost on top, given that the breeze has picked up a little bit. I thought WA's pressure around the footy, their ability to get first hands on the ball and then actually pressure the opposition when they didn't, was first rate. But SA found a way in the end to get on the scoreboard and work right back into the match.
And it almost felt as though it was a little bit of midfield presence from SA, the likes of Deloyer and Matty Roberts, with some defensive pressure, some strong tackles, just creating some turnovers in the areas of the ground where SA were able to have some effective impact in their front half as well.
Yeah, and I think much like the under-17 game, SA's best chance is to win the ball on the deck. I think aerially, WA's probably got the advantage, and the way they play, they bank on winning the ball back, midfield or half back, and then able to use the ball, whereas South Australia will just be hoping for a contest. And I think Linky was the man at Centre 40. He didn't play last week. I think he played in the reserves grand final for Central District. He looks like the man who said, I'm going to be the one, if you want to put it on my head, I'll take the grab or bring it to ground, whereas Ferris gets up the ground a little bit more. But if he can provide a contest and get the ball to the deck if he doesn't mark it, I think SA are going to be right in the game.
The ruck contest has been interesting. So we saw Cripps in there early, having some impact, but Saxon Evans and also Zach Phillips really working hard in that rucking contest to get their side back into it. WA certainly with the opening 8 scoring shots in this game, we saw some really likely movement forward of the ball for them. The likes of Benning and Paulson as well, providing some options. Motlop's been lively at ground level. Patton and Woden with some early possession, and Ditmar looked strong through the middle of the ground. So you just feel as though WA had a little bit more of the play, but probably didn't reward themselves as well as they could. Now it's easy to say the inaccuracy has hurt them a little bit, but as much as anything, it's that 6 or 7 minutes, the back end of the quarter, when SA were to get on top. You know, modern day footy, you're going to see those periods of momentum where sides, when they have it, need to be able to score, and WA just weren't able to shut SA down on the scoreboard late in the quarter.
Yeah, you see it so often. You got to take your chances when you get them, and they'll be really disappointed with the 2-6. I think the positive is that they're getting really good looks at goal, but the finishing is something they need to really work on. It's hard to make a judgment on the state of the game at the moment on a day like this with the win, until both sides have kicked with the advantage of it. So we'll get a much better idea at half time. But as we mentioned, I just felt like WA really did dominate for larger parts of the quarter, but the fact that there's only a goal in it would suggest that South Australia would probably go in reasonably content.
And I think once the game settled down a little bit, the South Australian defence were under enormous pressure with the amount of repeat and fast entries coming in to their defensive 50-metre arc. But the likes of of Zach Becker and Jared Parrish and Max Litzer. I thought as the longer the quarter went, the more they settled down and started to get into good defensive positions to impact the ball as it came in.
Yeah, they can hold their heads high. They've been under the pump. It stood up really well. I think that the defensive coach would be really happy with the work they're doing. I'm sure that those boys in defence would be imploring their midfielders to really up the ante in terms of pressure and stop the ball coming in as quickly as it was. And on the flip side, even better, actually get their hands on it like they did in the last 6 or 7 minutes, get the ball going forward so they're not under pumped.
I think one thing we've seen from the Western Australian side in this first quarter, and it was clearly evident in their under-17 game earlier in the day, which they defeated South Australia by 13 points by, their capacity to spread from midfield plays has been particularly impressive. So we saw that quarter on numerous occasions. Corey Warner, Caden Harbour, also Kay Dittmar for Western Australia, and Tajwa Woden, should I say, as well as Lachlan Patton, regularly sort of winning the ball around stoppage and then being involved in play away from stoppage as well. So that's something South Australia are going to have to do a little bit better, either man up on some of that that clearance players a bit better, or indeed create some of that run and creativity themselves away from those stoppages. Yeah,
WA certainly had the ascendancy in the midfield early, getting their hands on the ball, and then they were able to spread the ball to their runners and get it on the outside. SA really looked to tidy up that area, and they did work their way back into it a little bit towards the end there. The other thing is, if WA are allowed to turn the ball over and intercept mark at half-back or across wing, there's going to be players out everywhere. So SA, you saw Alistair Lord actually took the game on. We said it was a risky kick, but he's taken it onto the open side and he's avoided that spare WA defender, which allowed one-on-ones in space ahead of the ball. It's the best way, or the most effective that SA has looked for the whole first quarter.
So 6 points is the lead to Western Australia at quarter time as the players head out to their positions in readiness for the resumption of play in this second quarter. WA 2-6-18. South Australia 2 straight goals, so a 6 point lead to Western Australia. These sides have met twice already in the recent weeks in this competition, with WA winning both games, and a third opportunity for them to play against each other in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championship game. This time on the home deck for South Australia here at Thebarton Oval, and they win the opening stoppage. Roberts by hand to O'Loughlin, and he was immediately tackled, and the umpire said the ball didn't come out legally, so the free kick will go the way of Western Australia's Harbour. Kicks long inside 50, a strong presence in front of the ball, and taking the mark inside forward 50 was Regan for the WA side. Played on straight away, saw an option free inside the goal square in Williams, but by the time the ball got back there, the likes of Becker and Adams were able to get back and defensively punch the ball over the boundary line for the South Australian side and avert any initial danger of the WA side scoring. So a boundary throw-in adjacent to the behind post for the Western Australia side. Adams involved in this rucking contest, and also Benning. WA take it out of the air, but they lose the clearance, but WA got the numbers. Well positioned behind the ball. Watson able to take possession, missed his his target by possession, and mopping it up now was Avery. A little bit sloppy, just this passage from the Western Australians as they try and get clear possession and effective possession inside forward 50. Opportunity now will come the way of Tunstall to send it inside 50. O'Loughlin read the drop of the ball really well. The short kick was looking to find a target there in Reagan, and O'Loughlin just able to step in front of his WA opponent on that occasion and punch the ball over for a boundary throw-in just outside of forward 50 for the WA side. 6 points is their lead. Ball spills out now towards Jones. His kick inside 50. The front of the pack is Harbour. The ball comes his way. He runs around it, picks it up. He's well tackled by Dudley, but not before he's able to release a handball. Doing likewise is Gorringe for WA, and getting on the end of it now and sending the ball inside 50 is going to be Dittmar. It's a good pass too. Presenting up was Patton, and he's able to take a strong high leaping chest mark within goal scoring range. He's only about 30 metres out, 45 degree angle. Lachlan Patton had some early possessions in this game, in this first quarter, before fading out a little bit in the second quarter. But the lad from West Perth, again impacting early in the quarter, this time taking a mark inside 50, set shot for goal. Goal umpire does not move, gives the Guernsey a kiss. He's happy with that outcome, and it's through for a major. So Patton kicks his first. WA get the opening goal in this second quarter. They're 3-6-24, SA 2 straight goals. Special comments from James Allen.
Oh, it's a beautiful finish from Patton. You mentioned he was lively early, just started on ball, I reckon, and then drifting forward. So he's doing it, showing his versatility. I think that the thing that stood out so far in this quarter is the forward pressure of the WA side, the run-down tackle. Even when SA were able to win the stoppage, they weren't able to chain out with any freedom, and then the rush dump kick straight to the spare WA defender coming out from Matty Roberts before allowed WA to keep the ball in their half again, which is what they planned to do.
So win the clearance again, this time through Tunstall. Kick comes out to right half forward. Parrish applying a tackle that gets the handball out. But again, it's Tunstall following up his play. Takes possession of the ball, goes by hand now to Harbour. Links in board. Good composure there coming from Sheldrick under pressure to Cripps. Kick inside forward 50. Parrish going back with the flight of the ball, searching for a possession, and realises rather than take the mark, it's going to be safer to punch the ball away so that Ethan Regan couldn't take the mark for the Western Australian side. And then Parrish defensively punches it over the line. So throw in 20 metres around from the Western Australian goal. They've started this second quarter much like they started the first quarter, in control of the initial play, winning the ball around the centre clearances and sending it forward and inside their forward 50 regularly as they look to capitalise. Now they can't do so. South Australia will now get the clearance outside of their defensive half. Opportunity for Cook or Ferris at ground level. It's the latter who gets his hand to the ball. Ferris takes possession, gets strongly tackled, wheeled around in a tackle by Cripps on that occasion. And the umpire comes in and will ball it up 60 metres out from the South Australian goal. So first opportunity for them this quarter to get inside 50 after almost 5 minutes of the first quarter. They're kicking with the aid of a slight breeze, the South Australian side, but they won't yet go inside 50 as the ball heads over the boundary line. The kick from Western Australia partly smothered. So it'll be thrown in between the two interchange benches. You can see the players from both sides there lining up to take their opportunity to get into the field of play as the players come off for their scheduled rest. Boundary throw in now. And it's Evans getting in front. Can't win a decisive tap of the ball. WA win possession again. It's Sheldrick by hand to Dittmar. He steps around, straightens up, kicks inside 50. Parrish has come off his opponent to try and impact this one at ground level. There's his Becker. Parrish wins it by hand clean on the up to O'Loughlin. He goes out wide, just taking some distance there with the aid of the breeze, able to get the ball out of the immediate danger zone. Again on the overlap, it's Gorringe able to take possession of the ball, feeds in board to Sheldrick. He does likewise and maintains possession to Brown. He's going to go laterally. He's got a player free there, and Chipper takes possession of the ball, chips out wide. On the bounce now for Western Australia. Avery takes possession. He might get it back in the 1-2-3 here. Under pressure, just releasing his kick was Brown before he got tackled. And playing in front, taking a strong defensive intercept mark, was Oscar Adams for the South Australian side. Feeds off by hand to Litzer. His kick is effective and finds a leading target there in Calvert. He goes back not that far off the mark, but is able to wheel around to the side of the mark. Kicks long to the top of the 50. Strong mark from Ferris. He's a good mark of the footy. He read the drop of the ball really well on that occasion, and he signalled his intent to go back and have a shot for goal. Morgan Ferris from about 50 metres out, kicking with the breeze over his right shoulder. He's a very good player, as we've seen this year in multiple games. Jimmy is Morgan Ferris, and he's able to win the ball both at ground level and in the air. On that occasion, it was a really strong mark.
Yeah, he's a goal kicker as well. He works up really hard. He gets on the end of it as a link player, but he's shown then he can take the ball in the contested situation as well. So his all-round game is quite impressive.
The kick doesn't quite get the journey on this occasion. WA able to transition the ball out of their back half. It's Warner who does the kicking duties. Well positioned was Litzer, may have been interfered in the marking contest. Umpire says nothing doing, plays it on. Adams gets the handball up towards the agency of Becker, in fact Phillips, and he can't burst out of the Ditmar tackle, so we'll see a stoppage right half forward for South Australia. Ball trickles out towards Roberts, throws it onto his non-preferred right boot. It drifts about 20 metres up high in the air. Ball spilled away from Owens on that occasion. It's taken again for WA by Gorringe. He's immediately tackled by Whitelam, and the ball heads over the boundary throw in. So SA get a stoppage inside forward 50. There's 2 straight goals. They haven't scored in this quarter, which has been going 8 minutes this second quarter. WA 3-6-24. Cripps at the back of that rucking contest. Took it out of the air. Owens looked to toe poke it forward. Roberts took possession of the ball, was tackled immediately by a couple of opponents as he did so. So again, a repeat stoppage now for the South Australian side, only about 20 metres out from their goal. Cook jumps high, taps down towards Roberts. DeLoya took it by hand. Handball comes out to Whiteland, steps around one, was immediately tackled by Sheldrick before he could release the ball. Free kick paid, holding the ball to Sheldrick, plays on by hand to Ditmar. He takes the game on, gives it by hand, forward handball to Motlop, wheels around inside 50, finds the moving or the leading target in Ethan Regan, and Regan's taken the mark 45 metres out, chips in board back to the player that kicked it to him in Jesse Motlop, and he'll have a shot for goal 45 metres out.
The SA team, they just haven't been able to handle the pressure around the footy from the WA side. Their tackle pressure has been outstanding. I've said it a few times. If they can't get their hands on the ball first, WA, they're making sure that SA can't have a clean exit away from stoppage, and they've shown again with a beautiful tackle inside the defensive 50. They've turned defence into attack really quickly.
Jesse Motlop steps out to the right, and his kick out to the right as well. Played some senior footy, as Jimmy Allen said, with South Fremantle already this year. Attended Aquinas College and puts through his second behind in this game. So WA 3-7-25, South Australia 2 straight goals, 12. Kicking board up the middle. Gorringe again, multiple times this quarter he's been able to impact the ball as it comes out, but Whiteland this time does well, affects the smother. Ball comes on the up to DeLoya. Kick towards Lemmy, can't take possession of the ball, albeit around his ankles. Whiteland again applies some pressure to win the ball back for South Australia, and Owens is able to throw the ball on his boot inside forward 50. Harrison now applying some forward pressure. WA maintain possession of the ball through the agency of Fina on this occasion. Links up now by hand with Warner, and WA look to come back in board. A dangerous kick there. Lemmy able to provide some pressure on his direct number in Avery. Opponent on that occasion, Avery now has possession of the ball, feeds out by hand to Patton, and WA momentarily at least out of trouble. Kick out to Jones, he's free in some space on the outer wing. He's got plenty of space in front of him. He's had a second bounce, he'll consider a third. He does, and now he looks to step around Burgoyne, goes by hand, and he'll get it back in the 1-2-3 now. Arthur Jones, shot on goal will be just short. Some exciting play there from Jones, but Oscar Adams positioned himself really well defensively, took the intercept mark, fed off by Lord, and South Australia now look to relieve the pressure on the outer side of the ground. Grubb goes by foot and finds Phillips. He's going to look in board. Got Grubb's made position back in board, and now looks to feed the ball back from whence it started there with Oscar Adams, who initially took the defensive mark for the South Australian side. He finds Becker. He's got Litzer out the grandstand side. So South Australia maintaining possession now. Thinks about looking in board. Looks longer now. Cook will get a jump at this one. In the end, he was competing against his South Australian teammate in Linky and enabled Avery to win possession for Western Australia. Kicks in board to another left footer there in Warner. Steps around a couple, and his kick inside forward 50 has been marked again defensively for SA by Oscar Adams, who feeds it out to Grubb. Kicks long. Grubb. Whitelam against Warner. Applies the tackle, does Whitelam, effective to get the turnover for the South Australian side. But WA just working a little bit harder there with the numbers at the contest. Handball comes to Sheldrick. His kick looking out wide for Warner. Whitelam there with him, and the ball goes over the boundary line as the players catch their breath. 12 minutes gone in the second term. WA 3-7-25, South Australia 2 straight goals. This broadcast coming to you live on the AFL website and AFL Live app. John Simons and James Allen bringing you the action here from Theban Oval on this NAB AFL Under-19 Championships matches The ball's at ground level. Deloya takes possession, strongly tackled by Brown. And we'll have another stoppage to follow that throw in. Right half forward for the South Australian side. Phillips jumping high, beaten on that occasion. And standing strong in that marking contest was Litzer for South Australia, who's going to play on and come broadcast side of the ground to Calvert. He's a left footer if he wants to play on. Decides not to. Goes back to assess his options and then kicks to where he initially thought he might have gone. Harrison crumbing at the front of the pack. Ball just eludes him on that occasion. Stagg couldn't get possession. WA took possession through Finer and kicks it out wide. And they'll look to relieve the ball through the middle of the ground now. Attacking option here for WA. Finds Patton. Steps around the Dudley tackle on this occasion. Might get it back in the 1-2-3. No, Sheldrick steps the other way. Now looks to release the ball to Patton. Stagg competing against him does enough to create an opportunity for Calvert. His handball comes up short, taken for WA by Jones. And they look to go back inside. 50 Jones, so they say, jumping high now forward of the ball. Spectacular leap from Arthur Jones. Chipper was the player I was referring to take the ball earlier. And in the end, we'll see a stoppage across the right half forward for Western Australia. Looks an excitement machine, Jimmy, does young Arthur Jones.
If it's not goal of the year, I reckon we'll get market here at some stage today. He's not going to die wondering, Arthur Jones, is he?
Can he get on the end of it here? He's just forward of the play at the moment. Kick inside from Patton, inside 50 has missed the target for WA. Litzer mopping up, goes short and finds Manny Liddy just outside of defensive 50 for his side. Assesses an option. Lachlan and Dudley try to provide a short one. He's going to look longer now. Phillips jumping at this marking contest. Cook got possession of the back, ball spilled out when he was tackled, taken by Kennedy for South Australia. Just dribbles the ball, inches it forward. WA had the numbers behind the ball, but they've turned it over. Burgoyne knocks it forward for his side. Linky comes in. He's immediately tackled by 3 Western Australian opponents. And we'll see a stoppage across left half forward for the Western Australian side. 13 points is their lead. 14 and a half minutes into the second term here at Thebarton Oval. Sheldrick for WA. Goes by hand to Warner. He's been quite prolific as Warner. Strong mark for South Australia, taken by Oscar Evans. Third man into that marking contest. He's had a good quarter. Has Evans, kicks out wide. Looking for the run of Grubb. He takes and breaks past a couple of Western Australian opponents now. Kicks out wide. Harrison in some space. Plays on. Kick inside 50. Looks for the long lead of Cook. It's picked up at ground level by Lemmy, and Big Harry Lemmy throws it on the boot. And he's kicked his opening goal in this contest as Harry Lemmy in South Australia get their first goal in this second quarter, somewhat against the run of play. They've kicked their third. They're 3 straight 18. Western Australia 3-7-25.
And their ball movement was better. The intercept mark across half back allowed them to switch the ball out to the open side and then get some movement from there. The most likely they've looked, though, I reckon, is on the back of WA mistakes. You know, they've dropped an intercept mark there where we would have backed himself to mark that more times than not, and Lemmy's been the beneficiary.
Adams and Litzer have both had some good moments in this third quarter intercept marking and setting some play up for the South Australian side. Centre square clearance now. It's the 220s at it there. Roberts for South Australia. Eventually he's able to get possession, but his handball's turned over, taken by WA for Dittmar. Kicks it inside. Forward 50. Adams again in front of that marking contest. Ball comes to the front of the pack. Motlop steps around Parrish but can't evade the Dudley tackle and is immediately taken to ground. The 2 number 1s competing against each other on that occasion was Isaiah Dudley laying the tackle on Jesse Motlop, and we'll see a stoppage 20 metres out from the Western Australian goal. Good tap down from Cripps from Western Australia. Litz are able to take possession and clear the ball out for his side, though. Burgoyne clean in his handling of the ball, goes by hand to Liddy, chips in board. Now South Australia has some run through the middle of the ground. It's Kennedy, links up with Dudley by hand. He kicks the ball long, looking for Lucas Cook over the back of this marking contest. He gets to the back of it, but he can't impact the ball on this occasion. WA get possession of the ball. It is Hoff whose kick is turned over, and it's coming back from whence it came. Kennedy spills possession of the ball. Handball comes back towards Burgoyne now. Throws the ball into his left boot, and the kick forward to Whitelam. Stands under the ball, but the ball was well spoiled by Armstrong on that occasion. It now comes to Luca Whitelam. His handball on the up. to Evans. Kick is smothered and goes over the boundary line. So throw in 50 metres around from the South Australian goal. They lead by 7 points at the moment. So, as you said, Jimmy, they're getting some possession from the front half at the moment now, South Australia, but can't really get in a position to take any clean marks inside 50 at the moment.
No, they can't, but they are looking better. They're moving the ball a lot better. WA's pressure hasn't dropped off at all. The big test will be whether they can sustain that for the whole game. But at the moment, whether it's stoppage or an open play, their ability to get at the South Australian ball carrier has been immense.
Williams taps it down. It's Linky get one first possession of the ball. Diving in was Liddy to get possession. Burgoyne again to throw with a kick on his left boot, high inside 50. Kennedy takes possession for South Australia. Kick towards the top of the square will just get punched through for a minor score to the South Australian side. So that's their first behind in today's contest. They're 3-1-19. WA are 3-7-25. 18 minutes gone in this second quarter. NAB AFL Under-19 Championship match from Thebarton Oval. Mark taken for Western Australia by Jack Williams. Just assessing his options. Decides to play on now. Kick the ball centrally, but Parrish well positioned there for South Australia. Plays on immediately, goes by hand to Roberts, to Harrison. 60 metres out from goal. His long kick. Going back is Cook. Takes a strong mark going back with the flight of the ball, and courageous because he may have been confident he didn't have any players coming from behind to smash into him, but he wasn't exactly sure where the goalpost was on that occasion. Nearly cannoned into it, but stood firm. Took the mark, Lucas Cook. He kicked a goal in the first quarter from taking a mark deep forward, and he's done likewise in this second quarter. He just somewhat casually throws the ball onto his left boot and becomes the first multiple goal kicker in today's game. Lucas Cook has kicked his second, and for the first time since the very start of this game, the opening bounce, South Australia has drawn level in the contest. They're 4-1-25. Western Australia 3-7-25. Jimmy Allen.
And we said at the break we needed to see what both teams did with the breeze, but South Australia have been able to play the game in their half a little bit more in the last 5-6 minutes, which has enabled them to score. WA had the ascendancy for long periods in the match up until then, but haven't been able to really look threatening to go inside 50 for a while. On the back of those two guys that you mentioned, Adams and was it Litzer taking intercept marks at half back. They've then been able to transition the ball pretty well and give their forwards a chance.
So 5 minutes to go in this second quarter, flat 25-minute quarters. We've just ticked over the 20-minute mark, and South Australia look to win the ball out through Linky. His kick was partly smothered, comes up to Patton. He gets a handball going forward. Deloya kept his head over the foot. He took it cleanly and also took a high tackle from Harbour and wins the resultant free kick. Chips laterally short to Lloyd. He plays on straight away, as he so often does, Lord. Towards right half forward. Roberts looking to track it at ground level for Western Australia, as Dittmar keeping his head over the footy but can't find any free space to step into, and South Australia through Lemmy get possession of the ball. Handball on the up to Linky. His kick was smothered. Sheldrick taken in a Roberts tackle and then on a Lemmy tackle, and the umpires paid the second one, and the free kick will go the way of the South Australian key forward, Harry Lemmy. 70, perhaps 80 metres out from goal, kicks it long inside 50. Where's Cook? Coming from behind is Ferris. Doesn't take the mark, wins the ball on the first bounce at ground level, throws it onto the left boot. It sails high to the top of the goal square. Where are the Crummers? Calvert's there, Roberts there, takes possession of the ball, handballs to Cook, throws the ball on his left boot, and Sheldrick, casting the role of a goalkeeper, is able to stop the ball from going through on that occasion. Western Australia get possession through Harbour, who's about to get tackled, but not before releasing the ball by hand, and WA out of trouble now through the agency of Regan. Kick coming aboard was taken late just as he released the ball by O'Loughlin, and the resultant free kick will go the way of Cripps. Plays on immediately, running into space was big Jack Williams. Takes the ball on the bounce, takes the shot on goal on, and dribbles it through for a major against the flow of play. Western Australia on the rebound have kicked a goal. A couple of their key tools linking up there in Cripps, and also big Jack Williams is able to kick his first goal after kicking it behind in the first score. He's got 1 goal, 1 in this contest now. 22 minutes gone in the second quarter. Western Australia, should I say, regain the lead. They're 4-7-31, SA 4-1-25.
You don't see the big ruckman back himself to have a bounce too often, but he had some confidence, the big fella. He's had a bounce and finished nicely. There's shades of big Justin Madden back in his Carlton days in the 90s running along at the MCG there having a bounce, but it was a beautiful finish from the young fella there in Williams. Yeah, perfect.
Jacob Owens just off camera here, just looks to be limping off the ground in a little bit of trouble. The left leg injury, it looks like, so keep an eye on whether he can get mobile again in the second half, but just looks in a little bit of trouble there at the moment, and Harrison replaces him. So about 2 minutes to go in this second quarter, and the 6 points was the lead for Western Australia at quarter time, and that is also their lead that they've regained now through the agency of Williams. But South Australia win this centre clearance. Deloyer on the up to Burgoyne. His kick looking out wide for Liddy. Didn't quite get that far. Was intercepted by Watson for Western Australia. They've got possession now. Back half of the ground. Tunstall steps around. Will look out wide. They're looking for Patton if he could find him. He can't. Takes possession of the ball now. Western Australia through. Might be Harbour kicking the ball inside 50 there. Cripps at ground level against Adams. Well defended Oscar Adams, able to do enough to get the ball towards Blaine O'Loughlin, who does enough to get it over the boundary line. So it'll be thrown in. 90 seconds to go in this second quarter. 6 points the lead to the Western Australian side. They're 4-7-31. South Australia are 4-1-25. So slight breeze favouring the end to which South Australia are kicking. WA within goal kicking region, but Adams did well to win the clear tap down, and the ball's coming back in again as the last goal kicker in this game. Williams in the ruck at the moment has taken the relieving mark for his side, sits it long inside 50, jumping high, and a little bit too early on that occasion was Ethan Regan, so the umpires paid that as an unrealistic marking attempt, and the free kick goes the way of Litzer, who's had a good term defensively for the South Australian side. At 45 seconds to go, time for in this quarter, time for either side to score if they're good enough. It's South Australia who look like they might get the next opportunity. Kennedy linking up by hand, chip kick, misses its target there in Lemmy. Jace Burgoyne trying to win possession of the ball now. Kennedy applying a tackle. Where does the ball spill out? It spills out to favour Western Australia. Tunstall on the up, clears the ball out for WA. Again, it's Litzer coming up at the footy though, and stops Woden from winning possession. Wins possession for his own side, but his kick has been intercepted, and WA will settle things down now through McVeigh. Kick out wide, and Williams will take possession of the ball as the siren as the half-time siren is going to go any second now. And in fact, there it is, 25 minutes played in the second term, and at half-time the scoreboard has a similar feel to it than what it had at quarter time in terms of a 6-point lead to the Western Australian side. So in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championship game, it's Western Australia 4-7-31 at half-time, leading South Australia 4-1-25. The goal kickers for the WA side, it's singles each to Patton, to Benning, to Paulson and to Williams, whilst for South Australia, 2 goals to Lucas Cook, 1 in each quarter in that half. Harry Lemmy kicked 1 in that quarter, and Jace Burgoyne got 1 in the first half. So there it is, Jimmy. We've seen the first half of play. We've seen both sides have use of this slight breeze, and the game pretty much positioned where it was at quarter time. Western Australia having a bit more of the play, South Australia being a little bit more effective with less scoring shot once inside 50.
Yeah, I think WA have probably looked at the better side in the first half, but it hasn't translated into scoreboard. The defence held up really, really well there for South Australia. You mentioned Adams, Litzer, another crucial ball he won just before half-time there. There was players out over the back. He left his man to impact the contest and won it, it was courageous, but showed his ability to read it so well. They've held up really well. Their midfield, the SA midfield, started to get back into the game a little bit. They put a little bit more pressure on. I think they've still got a bit of work to do to get on top of this WA side that looks really, really well drilled. Their pressure at WA has been sensational, up forward and in the midfields, giving their forwards a chance by just holding the ball in their half for long periods. Their defence looks a little bit vulnerable, to be honest, if SA can get the ball in there quickly, but it hasn't worked out that way just because of the pressure that the WA boys have been able to put on and their ability to win the ball first and foremost.
So half-time at Thebarton Oval in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championships game, Western Australia have the lead by 6 points, 4-7-31 to South Australia, 4-1-25. We'll be back in about 10 minutes' time to bring you the second half action in this contest live on the AFL website and AFL Live app. John Simons and James Allen back with you in about 10 minutes' time. Welcome back to Thebarton Oval, the scene for the NAB AFL Under-19 Championship game today between the host team South Australia and the visitors Western Australia. John Simons and James Allen bringing you the action here from Thebarton Oval, where Western Australia hold on to a 6-point lead. They led by 6 points at quarter time. They continue to lead by 6 points at half time, 4-7-31. Leading South Australia 4-1-25 as both sides are out in the ground and ready to resume, Jimmy, what's been a very, very willing contest so far and a pretty even one.
Yeah, it has been, and at times it looked like WA were going to jump out to a pretty sizable lead, but it didn't turn out that way. South Australia fought their way back into the contest really well, and here we are at 6 points start of the third quarter.
So play resuming now. Nothing doing from the opening stoppage. We'll see a secondary stoppage inside the larger of the two centre circles here at Thebarton Oval. So no change to the weather conditions, still a slight breeze favouring the northern end, the left-hand side of the screen, the end to which the Western Australians are kicking in this third quarter, and they get the first mark forward of 50 through the agency of Regan. Kick long to the top of the square, now well positioned. Going back with the flight of the ball was Woden, and in the end spilled what was ended up being a chest mark on that occasion. Burgoyne took possession of the ball. Classy use of the ball by foot on his left boot on that occasion to find Deloya. He'll get it back by hand now. Burgoyne just steps around the pressure there of Jones really well. Kick long towards a marking target of Phillips. The ball spooked to ground. Avery took possession of the ball. Stagg was able to get him in a tackle. Cook by hand to Ferris. He shrugs one tackle, kicks inside 50 and finds the long lead now of Harry Lemmy, 45 metres out into that breeze. Now he's a long kick of the footy, Harry, but he's going to look to give off on this occasion. Roberts takes possession of the ball. He's immediately tackled as well by Gorringe. And South Australia will get a stoppage. 25 metres out from their attacking goal. 6 points is the margin they trail by. Good start for the South Australians. Lemmy getting a mark on the lead up, and also Ferris getting an early possession to kick the ball long inside 50 as the kick from Stagg is smothered by Dittmar on that occasion. So we'll see the ball thrown in 30 metres around from the South Australian goal. Slight breeze favouring the end to which the Western Australians are leading. Their 11 scoring shots to South Australia's 5 has them 6 points ahead as Burgoyne clears the ball from the stoppage. Is picked up for SA by Linky. Can't get the ball to boot though, and WA will clear now through the agency of Finer. He received the handball from McVie, but the ball's coming back as Litzer has positioned himself well to take another intercept mark. He's kicked it back to where it came in the hands of Zach Fleiner, and he was just got some treatment on the way back from that mark as well. So the umpires paid a 50-metre infringement penalty there against South Australia on this occasion. So it will be Fleiner to come 50 metres closer to goal. Kicks it long inside forward 50. Adams spilled the marking attempt at the back. Litzer by hand to O'Loughlin. Back towards Becker. He's got Robertson support. He spins the other way. Goes by hand to Oscar Adams, and Adams chips out wide looking for Burgoyne. Just clears that player's head and out of bounds for a boundary throw in here at Thebarton Oval. 3 minutes gone now in the third quarter, and no real trends at the moment, Jimmy, but South Australia will be happy not to give up anything on the scoreboard thus far, and they've actually had a little bit more of the play than their WA counterparts early in the second half.
Yeah, we're just interested to follow the momentum in the midfield battle around stoppage. WA definitely had the ascendancy in the first half and were able to be pretty dangerous on the back of that. You see another one here.
Harbour it is with the flying snap on goal. Kick came inside from the stoppage from Dittmar, and swooping on that ball on that occasion was Caden Harbour, but he's missed through for a minor score, so he's second behind in this game. The resumption in play, ball comes out to Burgoyne, kicks out wide. They're looking for Becker, threw his arms up to let the umpire know he was tackled without possession of the ball, and the umpire agreed with him, so he gets possession of the ball. Zach Becker from half back for the South Australian side, kicks out wide looking for Cook. He almost brought the ball to ground. It's taken for WA now by Cripps. Chain of handballs We'll see the ball end up in the arms of Woden. He can't take it cleanly. And South Australia look to get the ball back in their front half, but it's taken by Cripps. And again, WA just doing enough.
You see Litzer's attack on the ball again there. A couple of times he's missed by a foot, but his ability to read the ball and then attack the contest with some real speed and tenacity has been really impressive. Again, the midfield battle, WA, if they don't get their hands on it, they're able to pressure SA, but SA have shown forward of the ball that their forwards look pretty dangerous when they're able to get the ball in a one-on-one situation.
Cripps just getting in front of Phillips. Roberts able to win possession from the stoppage at ground level. Check side kick, heads in towards the middle of the ground. Harbour chasing after the ball, takes possession now, chips out wide. It gives an opportunity for Hoff just to slow things down for his Western Australian side. He chips out wide. Again, they maintain possession of the ball and now going with some dash through there. Jones kicks it long, taken for SA by Burgoyne. He chips out wide, maintains possession of the ball. Now the South Australia coming board to Kennedy by hand to chase Burgoyne. He's got a player free for the ball, and Harrison gives off by hand back to Kennedy. Kennedy looks for the long lead of Ferris, and he's found a marking target deep in the forward pocket here at Thebarton Oval. From that southeastern pocket, Morgan Ferris will have a shot for goal. He'll look to play on. You can see a Western Australia player there trying to guard that play on. The umpire just pulls him back another couple of metres. So Ferris knows he's got 4 or 5 steps to settle, plant that left foot and have a snap-on goal around the corner, which is exactly what he's done, and he's done it really well. Morgan Ferris puts it through for a goal for South Australian. He has kicked his first. Sturt product and plays in the college competition for St Peter's. He's kicked his first. South Australia 5-1-31 and WA 4-8-32. Again, SA able to rebound the ball into those mobile targets, and when they can do it quickly, Jimmy, with the likes of Lemmy, Cook and Ferris up there, they look dangerous.
Oh, they sure do. And again, it was a horrible turnover out on the wing, and it's really hard to defend that. WA had players out. Then when you turn the ball over, on the flip side in transition, SA had players out, so they were able to move it quickly down to Ferris. Time's gone by, that's a tough kick, but for the footballer these days, that's bread and butter. They'd almost prefer that than 20 out directly in front. So Morgan Ferris would have backed himself there and went back and slotted it as he should have.
Centre square stoppage now. Which team can win at 1 point? The difference on the scoreboard. 7 minutes gone in this third quarter. Cripps wins the tap down. And it's Sheldrick for Western Australia able to extract the clearance. Kicks it inside forward 50. Parrish applies some pressure on his direct opponent there in Regan, and we'll see a stoppage 40 metres out from the West Australian goal. Cripps now applying the pressure at ground level with the tackle after that rucking contest. Applies the tackle to Shay Linky, and we'll see a repeat stoppage a few metres further away from the Western Australian goal, about 45 metres out. Roberts won the ball, tried to get it on the up to Burgoyne, couldn't get it that far away. Woden took possession of the ball. You can see how that ball's carrying with the wind. That was a little half snap around the body there from Woden. It carried some 55, 60 metres through for a behind to Taj Schofield. So WA double their lead from 1 point to 2 points now early in this third quarter. Tackled, throwing the head back. There's a good tackle there from Flyner on that occasion, trying to win a free kick. I think in the tackle there was Linky, but the umpire didn't fall for that one. So we'll see a stoppage. Centre wing, Thebarton Oval. Western Australia lead by 2 points. Ball spills out now towards Cripps. Releases the handball out wide to accommodate the run of Sheldrick. He throws it onto that left boot of his, and it's a good strong mark in front of Becker, taken by Western Australia's number 32 in Luke Paulson. Of course, Zach Becker wearing 32 for South Australia. So the 32s standing each other down there, and Paulson kicked a goal in the opening quarter. That from Peel Thunder will line up from about 55 metres out. The release kick, it's just sailing left and it's staying left, so through for a minor score. So Western Australia move on to an inaccurate 4-10-34. South Australia conversely are quite accurate 5-1-31. So 3 points the lead to Western Australia. 9 minutes gone in the third term. Kicks out wide, looking for Litzer. played well and takes a strong mark. This time with his back to his own goal rather than the back to his defensive goal, and takes the mark, kicks long up the line. Whiteland able to take a mark for the South Australian side, chips in board to Burgoyne, just loses a handle on the footy momentarily, stays calm and then gets the handball on the up towards Grubb. His kick inside forward 50 mark to the top of the 50 metre arc, bravely by Linky, going back with a fly to the ball, chips out wide. Lemmy on a long lead, wasn't able to take the mark, but that's mainly because the umpire said his arms were chopped in that marking contest. So the big key forward for South Australia, Harry Lemmy, will go back and line up for goal. Oscar Armstrong, the offending player for Western Australia on that occasion. And Jimmy, this will be a tough shot for goal because the way this breeze blows, it's going to blow this kick across from right to left. So it's a tough shot for goal.
Yeah, and his teammates haven't given up on the short leads. It's going to take his best effort from here. There's a pack of players out, 10 metres out, so I don't think he's going to try and lay it off, but always going to be a difficult shot from there, John.
Yep, and just misses everything to the near side. That is a tough pocket to kick goals from here at Thebarton Oval with that prevailing wind heading towards the southern end of the oval. So the free kick, initially it was paid against Oscar Armstrong, and now he's the recipient of the free kick as that kick goes out of bounds on the full. So maintains possession, chipping it short to Hunter. He's going to look in board and making position after giving the initial kick there was indeed Armstrong for Western Australia. Chips out wide, finds Woden, has a look around in board, doesn't see anything he likes, decides, plays on a little bit too easily around the man on the mark, kicks long towards the leader. Benning takes the mark, umpire says play on, so he does. Goes by hand, WA inside 50 now again, a strong mark, charging out of the footy from Paulson, 55 metres out. Quickly rises to his feet like a cat after that marking attempt to try and find an option forward of the ball, but now realises everything's been covered. So he's thinking long and hard about pinging a long one here from 55 out with the breeze behind him. He might just fancy his chances. The kick's long, strong, right to the goal line. It may have been going through, but it's been helped over the line by Big Jack Williams. He's taken the mark about a metre out from goal, Big Williams, and puts through his second for today's contest. 5:10:40 Western Australia, South Australia 5:1:31, and certainly on evidence there, Jimmy, is the strength of that breeze. Able to launch that from a long way out was Paulson, and Williams probably could have let it go through in the end, but that ball's carried a good 55 metres.
Yeah, it's a definite advantage to the left of screen, John, but the coach, Tony Bamford, would be really disappointed they weren't able to kill that ball. It's landed right on the line. You'd normally expect a ruckman to get back and be able to kill that while the defenders are wrestling one-on-one, and to have that marked on the line is a real coach killer at this stage of the game when South Australia's worked so hard to get themselves right back into it.
So Jack Williams has kicked a couple, floated in through the ruck today as well. They've got Cripps deep forward at the moment, with Paulson having gone into having gone into this ruck contest for Western Australia. Free kick going the way of the Western Australians. Sheldrick pushed in the back on that occasion, is the recipient. Heads out wide. Got a target free and Patton, he's taken the mark, 60 out. Again, some good presentation. This time it's their last goal kicker in Williams, presenting up at the kicker and taking the mark 40 metres out on a rather sharp angle. This one for Jack Williams. Funny enough, they are kickable from this pocket. It's the same side of the ground, obviously, as Lemmy was kicking from at the other end, but the breeze working against you a little bit up the other end. The breeze here just working a little bit left to right, so a kick at the right at the left-hand goalpost can often end up sailing through from this pocket. Let's see how Jack Williams goes with it. No, he's kicked it narrow, and it's going to stay that way. In fact, misses everything, and won't be a score on this occasion, so out of bounds on the full. So 5:11:41 Western Australia are, South Australia, no, 5:10:40. They were given a point for that on the scoreboard, but they've just subtracted it now because it did go out of bounds on the full. So 9 points to the lead to Western Australia. 14 minutes gone in this third quarter. O'Loughlin with possession of the ball. Looks to use some run and dash out of the back half. A kick looking for Adams. Doesn't find its target. Opportunity now for Patton from Western Australia, staying over the footy. Cripps tried to take possession. He couldn't get it. Sheldrick there for the WA side. Becker goes by hand. Was looking for Deloyer. It was taken by Adams, who then got it to Deloyer. Links up with Liddy through the middle of the ground to get the ball back to Lord. South Australia out of defensive trouble now through Grubb. Sends it out wide. He's got a player free there in Jacob Owens, who has recovered from that lower leg injury suffered late in the second quarter. He's back on the ground now. Owens gets the kick up towards Kennedy, interfered with in the marking contest, wins the free, plays on straight away, looks for Lemmy from behind, reaches high, can't take the mark. Cook picks the ball up at ground level, and big Lucas Cook, the Twin Towers up there, the real dangers to Western Australia. On that occasion, it was Lemmy jumping audaciously at the footy from behind, almost brought the ball to ground, but then there to pounce on the loose ball at Crumming level was big Lucas Cook. And Jimmy, he's put through his third for today's contest.
He's been another solid contributor, and last week he showed that he could get it done on the ground, which is impressive for a kid of his size. Again, fast movement in, one-on-ones forward of the ball, and South Australia look dangerous. What they've done really well, they've stopped WA marking the ball behind the footy. So noticeably at stoppages, they're holding 6 forward, so the 6 forward often it's Cade Kennedy. Rather than getting sucked into the stoppage where his man can then drop off, he holds back as a forward, which means it's all one-on-ones, and WA don't have that spare player there. The only problem for SA at the moment is they are getting absolutely smashed at stoppage and have done for the whole game. If they can tidy that area up, it'll go a long way to them, potentially winning the game.
As WA win that centre clearance again, Lord able to just carry the ball over the boundary line, will be thrown in. So SA 6-1-37, WA 5-10-40, 16 minutes gone in this third quarter. Flat 25-minute quarters being played. Gives us 9 minutes to play in this third quarter. Phillips jumping up high and in front, wins the tap down. Taken for South Australia by Kennedy, by hands to Deloyer. His hands were sharp through to Grubb. His kick looking there for either Owens or Whitelam. Unable to find either on that occasion. All it did, unfortunately, for the South Australian side was find the boundary line, went over on the full. So WA descended back forward now through the agency of Gorringe. Kicks it to just inside forward 50. Stacks on the mill there, Parrish and also Regan for Western Australia have been by each other's side for much of this contest. Has Jared Parrish and Ethan Regan, and again they create a stoppage on this occasion. Deloyer kicks the ball away, but WA have turned the ball over. Chipping kick inside 50, looking for Motlop or Cripps, finds neither target, with the wind just blowing that ball towards that scoreboard and over the boundary line on the full. So you can see there's 17 minutes gone in this third quarter. 3 points the lead to the visitors, the Western Australian side, and they're going to go back inside 50. Gorringe takes the contested mark, kicks it to the top of the square. Lachlan going back with the fight of the ball did really, really well, with Williams coming the other way. The taller opposite opponent in Williams, but he stood tall, dare I say it. Blaine O'Loughlin going back with the flight of the ball, took the mark, gave it off to Roberts, and he's done likewise and found a target in Shay Linky outside defensive 50 for the South Australian side. A lot of congestion inside there, so he's going to look up the line. A row of 3 Western Australia's well positioned to mark this ball. In the end, it was Benning that was able to do so. WA back inside forward 50. Parrish affects the spoil on Regan. Motlop working hard at ground level, is taken at a tackle by Becker before he can release the handball. So Western Australia will get another stoppage. Inside forward 50, 7 minutes to go in this third quarter. 3 points is their lead. The umpire looking around to see who's going to jump at this ruck contest. It's Phillips for South Australia and also Jones for Western Australia. O'Loughlin goes by hand to Dudley. Steps on board intelligently to Calvert. His handball tried to accommodate the run of Lord, necessitated him giving it back in the 1-2 to Calvert. He's found Ferris to try to accommodate the run of Calvert for his third possession in that link of play, but the handball just missed its target, and we'll see a stoppage as a result. On the outer wing here at Thebarton Oval, broadcast live on the AFL website and AFL Live app, this under-19 AFL Championship game as South Australia win the clearance on this occasion. Roberts sends it inside forward 50. Whitelam jumps at the footy, knocks it towards Stagg. Stagg throws it on his boot. Cook going back loose with the flight of the ball, is able to take the mark. Oh, and he's played on, and the umpire said so, and he's just got himself caught into a bit of trouble here on this occasion. Through for a rush behind. Just didn't quite get that one right there in the end. Lucas Cook just could have gone back and had a simple shot from 12 metres out. Jimmy, in the end, he just got that word wrong, but he has found himself being able to get forward of the ball on a few occasions throughout this game.
Yeah, if he had his time again, Cookie, he would have gone back and had a pretty simple shot at goal, but I guess he's hot at the moment. He's running on adrenaline. It's all happening for him, but yeah, he pleaded his case to the umpire, which was quite funny because I don't think anyone was in any doubt that he'd taken a couple of steps off his line. But he's looking a real threat up forward at the moment.
He's kicked 3 of South Australia's 6, and he's in the rucking contest here. Ball comes down to Deloya. Gorringe's hand went slightly up above his shoulder, but it was incidental contact. The right decision made by the umpire there to play that one on. So repeat stoppage. Cook jumping high, out of taps it forward for South Australia. Linky there to be able to provide a tackle and gain a repeat stoppage for the South Australian side, who is winning the territory battle for significant parts of this third quarter, and they've won the scoreboard by 3 points overall in this quarter. And if they can kick a goal here, they would have a lead by 3 points. Hugh Stagg tries to give that to them, and I think he may have done it. He most certainly has. He's a danger around goal. The Glenelg youngster Hugh Stagg doesn't need a lot of footy to impact on the scoreboard, and that's exactly what he's able to do. And given South Australia the lead, has Hugh Stagg. He's kicked his first. South Australia for the first time today get in front in this contest. Almost 21 minutes gone in the third quarter. They are 7-1-43, Western Australia 5-10-40.
Oh, it's a brilliant finish. He showed last week how dangerous he was. He's been a little bit quieter this week, Stagg, but that's a beautiful goal off hands, and it's ironic that they scored from stoppage when it's been a real problem area for them so far, the SA boys. But they've hit the front, and they probably really have controlled the quarter a fair bit. They've worked themselves right back in. Their pressure's been good. Like I mentioned, if they can get their hands on the ball around the contest, they're going to be really hard to stop because they're doing a lot of things right at the moment. Their ball use off half back and ability to win contests in the defensive half has been great. If they can get it closer to goal, start winning closer to goal, their forwards are going to be licking their lips.
A real opportunist, Hugh Stagg, captain of Glenelg's losing under-18 grand final side, is quite sharp around goals. We saw on that occasion Western Australia won the centre clearance through Sheldrick, but Parrish took possession of the ball in the back half for South Australia by hand to Burgoyne. Kick out from Becker now finds its way to Kennedy, comes back to Burgoyne. He goes by hand to Parrish. Parrish steps through a tackle and a good sharp handball towards Burgoyne. Out to Deloya. South Australia looking to get forward to centre now. Handball smothered though on that occasion. Western Australia won possession of the ball, pushed in the back. Off the ball was the WA player there in Watson. The advantage paid for WA. Woden will take it and now puts the ball in his boot, sends it out wide to Jones. Spills the mark but takes possession of the ball now. Comes back in board, finds Harbour inside 50. Takes the mark about 45 metres out from goal. Caden Harbour has a little look around to think if there's an option he may want to give it to, but decides not to, and hard to miss with the blonde peroxide tips or whatever they might be, Jimmy, and the long flowing hair. But he's had some good moments today, Caden Harbour.
It's an interesting decision to go with that hairdo. It's certainly not something I've thought of before, but he's been really impressive. It's an important kick for WA because they are right under the pump at the moment. He's gone back and he looks like he's hit it pretty well, but just missed to the left-hand side. They are under the pump and they need a steadier going into three-quarter time because it's been all South Australia for a long period now.
Kicked 3 behinds in this contest today, Harbour, so he's had some opportunities on goal. Owens has gone down after that marking contest as well. Doesn't look good on the outer side of the ground. As a shot for WA on goal comes in, and I think he may have got it. Dittmar, I think, is the player. It is. The umpire said it wasn't touched. It's gone over for a goal, and Cade Dittmar, a prolific ball-winning midfielder in the first half of this contest, kicks his first goal in today's game, and WA are back in front on the scoreboard. There's 6-11-47. South Australia 7-1-43. 23 minutes gone in this third quarter, and that might be as much as we play in the second half, as I think there's a serious injury to Jacob Owens on the other outer side of the ground. Just saw when he landed after that marking contest, he immediately, now he's had a lower left leg injury in the second quarter, but he looked to me to grab his his knee as he fell in that marking contest on the outer side in this third quarter, and he's in a little bit of distress there, and I think he knows he is as well, unfortunately. In fact, they're just going to take him straight over the boundary line on the opposite side of the ground to try and keep the game going. So fingers crossed it's nothing too serious there for Jacob Owens, but he hasn't had a lot of luck in today's contest, the speedster from Glenelg. There's a resumption in play. 45 seconds to go in this third quarter. WA a chance to get another as they clear the ball out of the centre square stoppage. Cripps by hand towards Jones. He's looking to step around a couple. He's gone to ground. The umpire said he was tackled without possession of the ball. I'm not sure whether Isaiah Dudley did exactly have him or not, but it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters, Jimmy, what the umpire thinks, and the umpire thought it was a free kick to Arthur Jones.
I thought Arthur Jones played it pretty well. He failed to take possession, but I think that was by choice there, and he threw the arms back. It was a free kick every day of the week. But again, that centre square dominance of WA gives them another opportunity. South Australia 2 minutes ago would have been really, really pleased with their efforts, about to go into three-quarter time in front. Now they could go find themselves 10 points behind with momentum with the WA camp again.
Siren will sound as he kicks it. In fact, you can hear it there in the background. It doesn't put off Arthur Jones, though. He's put it through for a major, an important one for Western Australia and their momentum in this contest. Arthur Jones has kicked his first, and that makes the three-quarter time scoreboard read a little nicer for the men in yellow. Western Australia is 7-11-53. Leading South Australia a remarkably accurate 7-1-43. So 10 points is the lead at three-quarter time to Western Australia. In the end, they've built on their 6-point half-time lead. They kicked 3 goals for that quarter to South Australia's 3 goals straight and turned a 6-point half-time lead into a handy 10-point lead at three-quarter time. The goal kickers for Western Australia, there's been 2. The sole multiple goal kicker is Big Jack Williams in the number 43, while there's singles to Paulson, Benning, Dittmar, Patton, and also Arthur Jones with that one after the siren. Whilst for South Australia, Lucas Cook has led the way with 3, and they've had singles to Burgoyne, to Stagg, to Ferris, and also to Lemmy. Jimmy Allen joining me in commentary today, and Jimmy, Western Australia will be breathing a sigh of relief, I think, with those late 2 goals to go in with that 10-point lead now at three-quarter time.
Yeah, it was almost the opposite of the first quarter, where WA dominated the play for nearly the whole quarter, and South Australia managed to get themselves back into the game with a couple of late goals. I thought South Australia were right on top for the third quarter there. But WA, those last 2 goals have given them all the momentum going into three-quarter time. South Australia going from a real position of strength to now, game being pretty much on level pegging, given that South Australia coming home to the scoring end.
So WA, again, at vital moments of this game, we've seen late in that third quarter able to win important clearance ball, and they've been the better side, you'd say, at the stoppages all day. But again, through the agency of, in particular, Sheldrick, that quarter, they're able to regularly get the ball forward and create those scoring opportunities. Harbour involved in multiple times as well, and then they've had some likely targets up there in Big Jack Williams and Luke Paulson and Eric Benning, providing some mobile options. So I dare say, Jimmy, it's going to come down to, obviously with that breeze slightly favouring the end to which the South Australians are kicking this last quarter. Again, it's coming back to who's going to stand up better in these stoppages, and South Australia were able to do that against the grain of where the game had been in this first half for much of that third quarter. But at the start of the quarters and the end of the quarter, it was really important. WA generally ran home their dominance around the clearances. Yeah,
definitely. WA have been really impressive, but it's only a 10-point lead. And you wouldn't count South Australia out at all, because they've been really, really competitive in the contest. They've been able to win the ball back in their back half and then transfer the ball forward and transition it really, really well. They were tending to go down the line earlier in the game. They've made a really concerted effort to take the ball off the line, bring it back through the corridor, or switch it to the open side and move it well. And their forwards have shown that they're really, really dangerous. The issue at the moment is stoppages. Centre bounce, they are getting smashed. You mentioned Sheldrick. He at times lacked a little polish by foot, but he's just kept winning the ball and getting it forward. He wins it in the contest and feeds his runners. You mentioned Harbour. That haircut, I'll guarantee you one thing: if you had rolled up 10 years ago with a haircut like that, you could be guaranteed that there would be no one else in your team that had anything like it. But they've also got to Dittmar out there as well, and those two have been outstanding. Both of them, they stand out, but they've been really, really strong contributors for the WA side, and I think if they keep winning the ball in the midfield like they are, they're going to get enough opportunities forward to kick a winning score. It's just whether they take those opportunities. If South Australia can at least compete in the middle or get the ascendancy and get the ball going forward, I think it's South Australia's game. So midfield, as it always is, being a midfielder, I'd say the midfield's always where the game's won and lost. I think it's a classic case right now.
Is there a move, do you think, for Coach Tony Bamford? We saw in the earlier game Weckett move forward for good effect with South Australia. Last week we saw Zach Becker play 3 quarters back and move forward and kick 2 or 3 goals in that last quarter against the Allies. Is that a move, do you think, that Coach Tony Bamford might contemplate? Is there an obvious move to try and wrestle back this 9-point lead and get themselves in front, or would he be more likely to go with the flow that's and the side and the structure that they've had that's got them to this point?
I really don't think he needs any tricks at the moment. They look really good in the back half. They look really good in the forward half. It's in the midfield. I think they've just got to get their best ball winners around the ball and back them in to win the ball, because they haven't been able to do it at the moment. It might be a case of just going a little bit more defensive and making a bit more of a scrap. Centre bounce, WA have been able to come out the front really dangerously for long periods in the game, and when the game is on their terms, it looks like they're going to score. But when South Australia are able to win it and neutralise a contest, they look really dangerous as well. So for me, it's more get your best players around the ball. We saw Deloya do it a lot last week. I know he's a young player, but he looks like a mature head. He's got a mature body. Get him in there. He tried Linky in there a little bit before, so he's not afraid to throw things around, Tony Bamford. But I'd be putting it right on the midfield group at the moment. You are our best ball winners. We need you to win the footy. We need the ball going forward.
So probably going to need a bit more from the likes of Manny Liddy around the footy. Certainly thought Cade Kennedy came into it a bit more during that half, and perhaps I'd like to see a bit more from Harvey Harrison, who was a good player last week, and perhaps get him up around some of the midfield stuff a bit more and try and create a bit of run and dash from the likes of Harrison and Burgoyne and Calvert and these types as well.
Yeah, so Kennedy got himself right into the game, playing more as that high half forward. So he was a 6. He didn't actually play in the midfield. But the guys you mentioned are more your outside types who are relying on your inside ball winners to feed the ball out to them. So you see Roberts, Deloya and Linky going in there. So there's your best ball winners starting on ball. South Australia need them to win the ball to feed the likes of Calvert, Burgoyne on the outside, who have got speed and foot skills that can really hurt you.
Jacob Owens did go straight down the rooms at 3/4 time, so I haven't seen him come up or emerge at this point in time, but we suspect that his game is over for today. Jacob Owens a little bit of injury difficulty through both the second and third quarters in this contest. So a point was added to South Australia's score from the goal umpires during the break, so they've moved to 7-2-44. WA 7-11-53, 9 points the margin, 25 minutes of football left for both of these sides in this season and in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championship game. WA have won the first 2 contests. The margin was tight in that second game, under a goal, and SA looking to reverse the result. They trail by 9 points as we resume play with a repeat stoppage inside the centre square now. Good pressure there from WA. SA were looking to get away straight away with that ball was Linky, but he had no time and space to move in before Tunstall was able to lay a tackle on him. Now it's taken by Dudley for South Australia. Good hand, good awareness of what was around him to get the ball back to O'Loughlin. Roberts has broken hard from that stoppage to be the player in space to release the ball to on that occasion. His kick up towards his school teammate there in Morgan Ferris. The ball was punched over the boundary line. So it'll be thrown in. South Australia with the first centre clearance in this contest and the first inside 50. They're 40 metres around from their goal. Opening minute has passed in this first quarter, 24 to play, 9 points. The lead to Western Australia. How dearly South Australia would like the first and, if possible, early goal in this final quarter. Deloya over the footy. Can't get a clear possession. Stagg tries to whip it out now towards Calvert. Does so. Calvert by hand now comes out now to Harrison, to Roberts. He's on his favoured left boot. He gets a kick. He's pushed as he's kicked. How's the umpire seen it? Is he going to see it downfield? He is. He's seen the push late, the contact on Matty Roberts, and I'll get Jimmy Allen's expert assessment of that in a moment, because it looked as if it was a little bit incidental, the push, but the resultant free kick has gone downfield and the beneficiary was Lucas Cook, and he has kicked his 4th goal in this contest, and South Australia get the one they need. Jimmy, how'd you see it?
Oh, it's a gift. It's an absolute gift. I don't think there was a lot in it at all. Didn't even seem to be a lot of contact. I don't think there was any remonstration or argument from Roberts. He was probably as surprised as anyone that it had been paid downfield. But he's been able to get his hands on the ball early, which is really important for SA. We mentioned Deloya, Roberts, Linky as being key ball winners for them, and they've been able to actually win some stoppages here and get the ball going forward.
And first time we've really noticed some spread from South Australia from that stoppage as well. So Roberts creating that initially, and here he is again. Coming in right into this game in this last quarter at a crucial time for his team is Matty Roberts. He is a talent that will be closely looked at in the upcoming AFL draft, November 24th and 25th, the NAB AFL draft. Another player who's featured prominently today is Sheldrick. He wins the clearance there for Western Australia, gets the handball out to Motlop. Kick to the top of the goal square now. Going back with a fly to the ball was Litzer, and then affected the smother of the Cripps kick really well. Defended very strongly on that occasion, did Litzer. Parrish coming in to support him. He gets tackled by his direct opponent in Regan, and will have a stoppage deep inside the Western Australian forward line. They lead it by 3 points. Western Australia opening stages of this final quarter. Adams wins the tap down. It's taken by O'Loughlin. Clever handle through the traffic to spot up Linky. He gave it out there towards Dudley, and his kick went a bit too wide on that occasion, went out of bounds on the full. So Arthur Jones will be... No, he won't get the free kick. He had the ball in hand, but it's going a little bit deeper forward than that. The umpire said where it traversed across the line. It will indeed be Jesse Motlop, the recipient of the free kick. So he's tucked in about 45 metres out from goal. Motlop kicks it centrally towards the top of the square, and it might favour Harbour, and in fact it has. The drop of the ball enabled Caden Harbour in the end to take an uncontested mark directly in front of goal. And he'll have his 4th shot on goal, Caden Harbour. So he's kicked 3 behinds in this contest. He would dearly love to put something by the goal column, and he's not going to have a much better chance than this. 15, 20 metres out directly in front. He's sprayed it right. After all of that, can you believe it? Just almost poked at the ball a bit, Jimmy, perhaps, rather than just kicking through it fully.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's been the only knock on his game so far. 0 goes 4, because he's been outstanding, showing that he can win the ball in the midfield. He spreads hard. He uses the ball around the field pretty well, and he showed that he read it better than anyone else down there to take a pretty good mark in a packed situation. But he would love to have his time again and slot that, because it was a pretty important kick for his side.
7-12-54 Western Australia now. South Australia 8-2-50 as the sunshine bursts through the clouds here at Theban Oval. Direct ray of sunshine almost for the next few minutes at least, looking around the cloud cover. So South Australia put some sunshine on the scoreboard. They'll get the opportunity here through Matty Roberts. He's won a free kick for a high tackle, and he goes laterally towards Lord, 65 metres out. Kicks now towards Ferris. Will have a jump at it from behind. He can't take the mark. It comes down towards Liddy at ground level. His handball didn't quite get the connection on it he would want. O'Loughlin attacked the ball, couldn't take the mark, and WA out of trouble now through Jones. He takes a bounce up the outer wing, the grandstand wing, as he did effectively in this second quarter as well, but his kick hasn't found a target. Parrish stayed over the foot. He got immediately tackled. Ball spills out to O'Loughlin. Took it cleanly and gave it off by hand really nicely. Intercept mark here taken for Western Australia though by McVeigh. Chips out wide to Jones in space. He's got support there in Tunstall. Uses that player. He chips out wide. Now finds Patton. Goes by hand to Regan. His handball over the top to Cripps. He tries to step around one. An awkward sort of handball over the top there to try and find his teammate in Paulson. And as he picks the ball up, he traverses across the boundary line as well. So we'll see it thrown in. 19 minutes to go in this final quarter. It's a tight game. It's a 4-point ball game. The inaccuracy of Western Australia with 7 goals 12, leading the accuracy of South Australia with 8 goals 2. 4 points the lead to WA. Snap on goal now will come from Tunstall. It's drifting high. It bounces in the goal square, bounces edges closer to goal, but doesn't quite have the distance. And Becker thumps it over the line for a rush behind to the Western Australian side. They move to 7-13-55 WA 8-2-55. So 5 points the margin. South Australia kicking with the aid of a useful sort of 2-goal breeze about, we suspect, with the carry of the ball as we see it as they kick it out of their back half on this occasion. Jumping at the footy was Liddy. He was interfered with in the marking contest. No, the umpire said it was the interference earlier off the ball to Tunstall. We'll see the Western Australian player receive the free kick. He's got Jones laterally, decides to ignore that and goes a bit longer. And coming in was Litster to try and affect the spoil. Almost took the mark on the second juggle. Adams now can't quite get a handle on the ground level. Eventually does. Gives it off by hand to Lord. He looks out wide and finds Luca Whitelam. Takes a nice jumping chest mark there in front of Finn Gorringe. He's had his moments defensively today as well, as Whitelam chips in board. Now takes the game on to Litzer. He goes by hand now to Liddy, to Becker. They've just turned it over though, just lost the handle on the ball, and Motlop on the back play will pick it up, possession for Western Australia. Handball now to Dittmar. He kicks long, inside 50. Becker, no, Parrish it is, going back to the flight of the ball. That's been a good one-on-one contest all day. Parrish and Regan have stayed on each other all day. Regan had a couple of early possessions, but you'd have to say since then, Jimmy, Jared Parrish has done a very good job on him all day.
He's been excellent. The key defenders have been really good for South Australia. For the amount of ball that's come in, they've held up really strong. They've held up really firmly, and Parrish has been no exception.
Talking of strong, that was Kay Dittmar in that marking contest. A good contested mark. Parrish in front in the end, spoilt by his own teammate in Becker. Was the only one to affect that spoil on Jared Parrish. It just got in each other's way, unfortunately, for the South Australians on that occasion. So the result will be a stoppage still inside the 50-metre arc for WA. Adams jumps high and taps the ball down. Clearance now coming the way of Motlop, just outside 50 for WA, and the kick goes back towards Becker, and he's able to take the relieving mark this time for the South Australian side. Looks out wide for Roberts. He's worked hard in this final quarter and does so again to find some space. Just tucked in his defensive 50 still. There's a look around. He's going to look inboard. He's got O'Loughlin free and finds him just outside of defensive 50 now. Blaine O'Loughlin looking to see what might open up inboard. A couple of options laterally, but he can't get it. Jace Burgoyne free on the other side of the ground. Can't quite get it that wide. Kay Kennedy thinks about that option though. Now realises it's covered and goes by hand to Lord. Gets it back in the 1-2. Handballs to Liddy. He's got Dudley free forward of the play. Uses that player. Runs to the top of the 50. Decides to set sail for home. Isaiah Dudley. Ferris at the back of the pack, puts out the left mid, can't take the mark, might soccer it through. No, Gorringe does really well, diving on top of the ball at a desperate effort, desperate defensive effort, got possession of the ball, handballed over the line, and a rush behind is the result for South Australia. They move on to 8-3-51. WA 7-13-55, 10 minutes gone in this final quarter, 25 minutes flat being played. Parrish comes over and affects the spoil. Crumbing it well though for Western Australia was Watson. Sends it forward to centre for his side. Litzer might be first back to the ball on this occasion. Took it cleanly and took a high tackle from Watson. Umpire said play on. Liddy just putting some pressure on Watson. Wasn't a lot in that contest, but the umpire said he may have got him in the back on that occasion. Probably one of those would rather see it left play on, Jimmy, but perhaps technically by the letter of the law, Watson got himself in the ball-winning position.
And it might be a bit of a square up for the one earlier, the Roberts one downfield, but it's almost turned into a case now where the WA forwards are under pressure just to bring the ball to ground because they're getting outmarked too often. That time they were able to get it to ground, and guys like Patton, they've shown with their speed, they'll get at the ball carrier, they'll get at the South Australian blokes with the footy, and they'll be able to hold the ball in if the ball does hit the deck.
So Patton kicked a goal in the first quarter. He's missed that one through for a minor score, so WA extend their lead to 5 points. Kick out comes looking for Stagg. Misses him on this occasion. WA chip back in board from Chipper, dare I say it. Intercept mark taken by Dudley on that occasion. His kick was spoiled out of bounds by the aforementioned Chipper on that occasion in front of Grubb. And we'll get a throw in just slightly forward of centre for the West Australian side. 11.5 minutes gone. Final quarter. WA 7-14-56. South Australia 8-3-51. John Simons, James Allen, bringing you this broadcast live on the AFL website and on the AFL Live app as WA send the ball again inside 50. The bounce accommodates Big Paulson on this occasion. He throws the ball on the boot, it edges towards goal, and Adams involved in the contest there. Also with Armstrong for Western Australia, and the ball is taken over the boundary line. So it'll be thrown in again deep inside Western Australia's forward 50. Getting a lot of repeat entries at the moment. The South Australian defence so far holding up. If they can continue to do so, they will get some scoring opportunities with this breeze. We would suspect as the quarter drifts by, the ball spills out. Well set up in the stoppage there, Western Australia, to feed the ball out towards Corey Warner, but his snap on goal goes across the face of goal, out of bounds on the full. So again, South Australia under some pressure, able to relieve possession through Becker, short to O'Loughlin. Played a good game, has Blaine O'Loughlin, the nephew of the former Swan, Michael O'Loughlin, crumbing the ball in front of the pack. Was Tuck on that occasion. Gets the handball up to Evans. It's socket forward. Linky might be the beneficiary of that. He is. He gets the ball onto his boot, looking out there for Burgoyne. Does enough to find that target. Jace Burgoyne immediately plays on. Looks long towards Lemmy, and also dropping back into space is Grubb, and it's the latter that's able to take the mark just inside forward 50 for his side, Lachlan Grubb. Lad from Central Districts will launch a shot on goal from just inside the 50-metre arc will be his release point. So as we just mentioned, we get the feel that with this breeze, South Australia will have a handful of opportunities to get shots on goal, and this is one of them. Through Lachlan Grubb, going to be an opportunity to regain the lead for his side. Releases the ball, it's going across the face of goal, and well positioned was Jack Williams, the ruckman on that occasion, to able to take the defensive mark for his side. Feeds the ball out short to Chipper. He assesses his option, chips one up the outer side of the ground and two wide. Two number 6s there, and Grubb for South Australia is wins the free kick for out of bounds on the full. Comes in board to Isaiah Dudley. Creative footballer, 60 metres out. Looks to put one towards the advantage of Whitelam. It's a good mark, Luca Whitelam. Just had to turn his body on that one with the ball carrying over the back of that marking contest against his direct opponent in Jack Avery. In the end, took a good contested mark, Jimmy.
That was a beautiful contested mark. The Central District connection there from Grubb inside to Dudley and then Whitelam. It's a tough shot, but as we've seen, you can kick goals from this end with the breeze bringing the ball back nicely. Thought coming out of defence, Chipper, he had a shorter option on. He could have just used Motlop and used the numbers there. Instead, he kicks it out of bounds, gives the ball back to SA and puts his team back under the pump. Looks like Whitelam slotted that
Kicked
as well.
a very similar goal from that spot at Scotch College against them this year, right on the quarter-time siren, and he's delivered under pressure. Right again from that same spot has Luca Whitelam. That's a classy goal. Captain of the Sacred Heart College first 18 this year, played in Central Districts, losing reserves grand final last week at Adelaide Oval, and goes back at a crucial moment, 15 minutes into this final quarter, and gives his side the lead. Luca Whitelam has kicked his first. Good contested mark and a lovely polished set shot for goal. And South Australia find themselves a point to the good now, 9-3-57. Western Australia 7-14-56. So it's a 1-point lead, 10 minutes to go in this contest. It's going to have an exciting finish to this NAB AFL Under-19 Championship game here at Thebarton Oval. Live on the AFL website and the AFL Live app. 9.5 minutes to play. South Australia with the slenderest of lead. It's a 1-point margin. They try and send the ball forward. Linky over the top of the footy, takes possession now, steps through some congestion. Then his handball gets smothered by Motlop. And then a Deloyer will able to apply a tackle straight away after a reflex handball from Chipper. Didn't enable Tunstall to get into any real space at that point in time. So stoppage inside the centre square. Again, it's Linky. He got possession. Deloyer creative by hand around the footy. Wins a contested possession, gets it out to Burgoyne. And this time, in the contested marking situation, Gorringe is able to take that mark against Luca Whitelam, and Gorringe sends it out wide. The ruckman Williams has made some space defensively to receive the ball. Gets it to Avery. Short pass to him. That player plays on immediately. Kicks long. Long lead. Good mark as well. Taken there by Paulson for Western Australia. His chip in board. Might have come unstuck. Deloyer able to take possession. Goes back by hand to O'Loughlin. Roberts has made some space. That'll be a free kick. On that occasion, the offending player in Paulson for Western Australia had his back to the footy, made no real attempt to impact the contest, and the front-on contact sees the free kick paid to the South Adelaide junior, Matty Roberts, who's had a very good last quarter, as called for by Jimmy Allen. He's really started to find a bit of the footy when his side's needed him. He goes by hand to Blaine O'Loughlin, who's had an excellent last quarter. Kicks long up forward, Whitelam at ground level. Evans handball the ball forward, WA possession through Williams. Handball out now, comes to Tunstall. He goes back looking for Woden. He does similar to Avery, and they're just under some pressure at the moment here all of a sudden, Western Australia, and Lemmy does enough to get the ball over the boundary line. South Australia just look as though they've upped their defensive intensity a little bit, Jimmy.
Yeah, they're certainly under the pump, and I think the scoreboard pressure now as well is a factor, given that they didn't take their chances when they had the ball forward for a long period in this quarter. South Australia goes down through Whitelam, kicks a beautiful goal from the pocket, and all of a sudden it's the WA side who needs to make the play.
Dittmar likes it rough and tough, shrugs off and kicks the ball long. Parrish eyes only for the ball, affected a good spoil, and then one at a ground level, and will just wear a couple of tacklers on him. He'll stay tough, Jared Parrish. You won't have to worry about that, as Harbour and also Patton able to lay a tackle on him, and he does enough to win a stoppage for his side. Grandstand centre wing. Dittmar looked to get after that one at ground level. Patton got it by hand towards the agency there of Sheldrick. He shrugged off a would-be tackler, sends it inside 50. The kick actually hasn't accommodated his teammate there, the two number 32s, Paulson for WA. It actually accommodated South Australia's number 32 in Becker. And possession comes back now to Oscar Adams. He looks to settle things down. Again, Matty Roberts really covering some territory in this last quarter. Takes that mark, feeds it in border. Good kick to accommodate Linky. Steps a couple of steps sideways, plays on. Kick looking there for Cook. It didn't quite get that far. McVeigh able to get possession for WA. Chips it short to Dittmar. He'll play on immediately. Wheel it in board. Tunstall well positioned to take the mark. They're looking to go now. Western Australia with 6 minutes left in this final quarter. They trail by 1 point. Kick to favour Jones. He takes possession of the ball. Thinks about a handball. Feigns it once, then feigns it twice, and then sends a forward handball there towards Gorringe. He's likes to kick one on his right boot there where he really needed to use his left, and in the end the kick is able to go over the boundary line. No, it's not. The high tackle there from Dudley and O'Loughlin both applied it to Patton, but the umpire said it just slipped up a little bit high as Patton appeared to lose his footing at the same time, and he's received a free kick in about the same spot where Brodie Tuck was able to kick a goal for South Australia in the third quarter. Let's see if Lachlan Patton can do it for Western Australia. 1-1 he's kicked in this game. He kicked a goal in the first quarter. He wheels around. It's a pretty good looking effort. The goal umpire likes it. He started it at that far goal post and it curled in beautifully. That's a talented finish there from Lockie Patton. He's kicked his second, and WA regained the lead. 8 goals, 14-62. South Australia 9-3-57. 5 points. WA lead it by 5 minutes left in the last quarter.
It's another twist, and again through a free kick, which it could have gone either way. But it's the only way they've looked like scoring is in congested play. That's how well South Australia have defended. Anytime the high balls come in, they've looked assured with Becker. Who else has been down there? Adams, I think. Lidster, not so much this quarter, but earlier in the game. They've looked really, really strong back there. Parrish, your man from Sacred Heart last year. They've been outstanding. And just it was going to take an opportunist goal, and that's the way it turned out. I think with 5 minutes to go, it's still anyone's game. It might take something special from either side to win the contest. Really important clearance here with 4 minutes to play. As Jimmy said, 21 minutes gone in this final quarter. 5 points the lead to Western Australia. There is time for the South Australians to wrestle that lead back, but they'd want to win it from the clearance here. They can't do so. Again, Dittmar tough and hard around the footy, wins this clearance. Parrish jumps high, affects the spoil, comes down towards Calvert, can't get a handle on the footy. Western Australia desperate around the ball. Patton takes possession. Calvert comes in to apply the tackle, and we'll see a stoppage across right half forward for Western Australia. 5 points they lead it by. It's almost a case of next goal wins in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championship contest. Linky got possession of the ball. His kick was smothered. Dittmar again sends his forward side inside 50. Litzer going back against Harbour. Took a strong contested mark. Was calm. His presence under the ball. Knew what he was doing going back with the flight of the ball.
protected the drop zone nicely and took the intercept mark. Contested situation did Litzer, sends it out wide. Opportunity now for South Australia, Linky and Kennedy. Neither of them take possession of the ball. It could be costly as it comes now to Sheldrick. He chips short and finds an option forward to the ball there in the last goal kicker in this game in Patton. He's going to go short and finds a target now in Chipper. His kick is smothered. Parrish does well, then got possession of the ball by hand to Dudley. South Australia out of defence now. Long kick. Cook might get on the end of this one. Punches it forward. They've got some momentum going forward with the ball now. Can Calvert get on the end of it? Or can Cook pick it up? It's Calvert. Takes possession. Goes to ground. Jumps up. Throws it on his left boot. Shot on goal. Ferris in a contest there. And the ball punched across the boundary line for a rush behind for South Australia. Then 9-4-58. WA 8-14-62, 2.5 minutes to go, 4 points. The lead to WA. They've played on straight away. Got it to the outer side of the ground where Woden was in some space. He's taken some mark, and WA may look to take time off the clock here now. As eventually it's Warner to go, kicks out wide now. The kick coming towards Hoff, missed his target, so he couldn't take any more time off the clock. Goes back by hand. Chipper kicking it up. It carried Phillips, but again Litzer in the right position to intercept mark for his side. He's going to kick long with the breeze. Looking out wide there for Roberts. Big Williams was there to affect the spoil for WA. They've got the numbers there if they can maintain composure with ball in hand. Williams gives it over to Chipper. He looks for the long lead there of Cripps, and the umpire says there was interference there from Litzer in the marking contest. Crucial free paid to Western Australia. 90 seconds to go. Flat 25-minute quarter. We've gone 23.5. WA lead it by 4 points. Kick inside 50 from Cripps. Becker takes possession. Goes by hand to Phillips, but he spills the ball over the boundary line. So thrown in just inside forward 50 for the Western Australian side. 3 seconds till the 24-minute mark. So 1 minute to go in this game. South Australia trail by 4 points. They need to get the ball moving and essentially take a risk through the middle of the ground potentially here as Liddy throws it on his boot, and a good and an important mark taken for Western Australia by Hoff. They can take time off the clock now, but he doesn't. Kicks in board and finds a target player free in the middle of the ground. The chipping kick may have turned the ball over here. Phillips can take possession. He does enough to get it to Parrish. His handball was intercepted wonderfully by Sheldrick. Runs into an open goal, and good night, Nurse. There's the game. Game, set and match for South Australia, and perhaps deservedly so. It is Angus Sheldrick for Western Australia that puts the exclamation mark on this game. He's been a wonderful contributor. He's been a midfield ball in this game, and he's just kicked the goal that wins the game for his side with about 10 seconds to go before the siren goes. Western Australia out to a 10-point lead.
Yeah, well, it was a fantastic finish, and he's rewarded his work. He's capped off a fantastic game. Mentioned at times his ball use and maybe decision-making under pressure left a little bit to be desired, but he's taken his opportunity there at a crucial stage to ice the win in what was a fantastic effort by the WA boys.
So the siren sounds here at Thebarton Oval in this NAB AFL Under-19 Championship game, and Western Australia, as they've done in the previous two contests this year between these two sides, are in front on the scoreboard when the final siren goes. It was Western Australia 9 goals 14, 68. Defeated South Australia 9 goals 4, 58. It's a 10-point margin in favour of Western Australia. Their goal kickers, 2 each to Jack Williams and Lachlan Patton. Singles to Angus Sheldrick, to Arthur Jones, Kate Dittmar, Eric Benning and Luke Polson. Whilst for South Australia, there were singles to Harry Lemmy, Morgan Ferris, Luca Whitelam, Hugh Stagg and Jace Burgoyne, and the leading goal kicker was Lucas Cook, who kicked 4 goals for the South Australian side. So there it is. It's a victory to Western Australia, and Jimmy Allen will look at the best few players from each side, and for Western Australia, probably hard to go past the player that kicked that winning goal in the end. He was consistent all day long. Was Angus Sheldrick, well supported in there by Kay Dittmar amongst others, and also Corey Warner had a bit of the footy as well. But their on-ballers led the way, and Sheldrick was a shining light for his side.
Yeah, he certainly was. I think when you look at the best players, it probably tells a bit of a story of the game. I think WA's midfielders were outstanding all day. They got great service in the ruck from Cripps, and I thought Jack Williams, the other tall ruckman, whether he was forward or playing that kick behind the players, the ruckman was outstanding. Sheldrick was fantastic, as was Harbour, as was Dittmar. Motlop, when he went in there, was really good. And then from the South Australian point of view, you had Cook up forward, but then their defenders were just fantastic. You had Parrish, Lidster was fantastic, Adams, I'm missing one at the moment.
Becker.
Becker was sensational. And it just probably tells you where the game was played. It was probably played in WA's half for a lot of the game. The scoreboard suggests that way. They didn't take their chances. They kept SA in the game by missing shots at goal, but I thought they were probably the better side, particularly early in the game and then later on. But South Australia were able to just take their chances, which gave them a chance.
So there we have it. Thanks to Jimmy Allen for his special comments work today. John Simons here at Thebarton Oval, signing off as we end this NAB AFL Under-19 Championship contest with a scoreboard that says Western Australia, as they did in the first two contests this year, just too good for South Australia in the end. It was a 10-point margin in favour of Western Australia. 9 goals, 14-68. They defeat South Australia 9-4-58. A 10-point margin in an entertaining contest that certainly displayed some of the genuine talent on display that will be for the AFL recruiters in the upcoming NAB AFL draft later on, November 24th and 25th. Thank you for joining us on the AFL website and AFL Live app, and it's bye for now.